Good evening, ladies and gents. A big welcome to the grand final of Seagate Solidarity E-Race in association with all our sponsors, as always. Martinica, we've had a week of note. Probably one of the most exciting weeks of racing I've been involved in a long, long time. And of course, with nothing else to do, this is all you can go and enjoy.
I tell you, I echo that 100%. It feels as though we've been at a track for 4 days in a row, actually 6 days in a row, Greg.
Yeah.
And there's just been action aplenty. There's just so much that's been happening. We've had some controversies as well. And I mean, the racing has been spectacular and at all climaxes tonight in our two finals. So I'm so excited for these two races. And of course, also for all of the drivers.
Yeah, I think the drivers are sitting in those driver briefing sessions right now, listening in and getting those final bits and pieces sent to them via, of course, our team in the background, Jason Holden-Jones, Neil Marks. It's fantastic to have them with us again, and a super crew of team a crew of guys that are behind them as well with the stewards. I don't have Richard Raymond's joining us again tonight to help us out. He doesn't have to really worry about points tonight because points are all out the bag. We don't have to worry about points anymore. It's now what happens on the black stuff, and that's all that counts.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, it just comes down to this. It's just sheer racing. It's a much longer race. So there are a lot more variables that come into play. Of course, tire wear, fuel as well, in this very thirsty 986 horsepower McLaren P1 GTR. But Greg, you know, in terms of the team that we've been working with over all of these events so far, you couldn't find a bunch of more passionate and enthusiastic and excited people that we work with. Everyone going the extra mile to make sure that everything's working. So, you know, compliments to everybody who's been involved from a production point of view, an organization point of view. It's really made our lives a lot easier.
It certainly has. And I mean, when we get to a situation like we are right now, we're about to kick off the plate final and the grand final, everything just falls into place. And you can see through the things, just EFX Productions virtual studio, right on the sort of cusp of one of the most famous corners in the Nordschleife. I mean, it's right out our window here.
It's right there behind us. It's incredible. But you know, Greg, there are a lot of people who perhaps didn't see our first broadcast who haven't seen how magnificent your headphones are.
Oh, no, those are cool. These are the coolest headphones in the world. I don't know if you can able to see this, but check it out. You can just turn it on. They're the most sexy headphones in the world. And the whole way through, as you sort of get more animated, they get animated as well. It's brilliant. Yeah, so we'll keep them on just for everyone's sake. It's great fun. But yeah, Sash, I mean, we've had an incredible week. It really has been top class action, top class racing. The mix of both the sim world and the real racing world has been seen yet again, and it's brought to the fore some of the best racing that we've ever commentated on. We've mentioned it all the way through the week. But of course, it also just shows that in a time like this, there are ways and means to leverage sponsors and make sponsors happy.
Without a doubt, you know, and it's so great to have our sponsors on board with us. I think it's just fantastic that they've embraced what we are trying to do, and also merging the real world and the sim world, and you know, they've really come on board in such a wonderful way, as has the sim racing world, you know, embraced us, and vice versa. So, you know, without the sponsors, you can't do these kind of events, and hopefully they're in for the long haul and the long run, and we, you know, grow it bigger and bigger here within South Africa as well as internationally.
Well, I'm certainly hoping that's the case. I mean, we've been able to retain NEC, Pure Storage, Data Sciences Corporation, AfriHost. We've got True Race involved last time. They've stuck around with us for this one. And we brought a brand new sponsor in Seagate and Seagate Gaming this time. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce everybody to Kobus Burnett from Seagate, who's joining us here for a live interview. Kobus, I know you're excited about tonight, but how awesome is it for your company to be involved in an event like this?
No, absolutely, Greg. Good afternoon, good evening, Greg and Sasha. Nice to be on the show with you guys. Your studio looks wonderful, and it's just, the racing is exciting. I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, that's terrific, Kobus. I must just tell you that I've got a 2 terabyte external hard drive, and I only found out when I plugged it into my laptop that it's a Seagate. So how's that for coincidence?
That's so good to hear, Sasha. That's good to hear. Just time for you to upgrade that now, Sasha. There's some bigger sizes available there.
Yeah, I'm sure it is time.
So listen, Kubis, I mean, you guys saw what we did in the first one at Kyle Army. You were kind of interested and were sort of on the cusp of doing something at the Intercontinental Challenge. And now at the Nordschleife affair, we've gone bigger and better. And of course, once again, changed it up completely. And the racing has been spectacular. The action on and off the track has been good with our commentator search and all the activations we've done. From Seagate's point of view, is this good enough to sort of keep you guys interested, and maybe we can squeeze you again for version 4?
No, absolutely, Greg. I mean, the key values for Seagate is integrity, innovation, and inclusion. And when I saw the first edition, I just knew I had to include Seagate in this great initiative, and also to help the Solidarity Fund for COVID-19 in South Africa. And then secondly, gaming is a big segment for us and a big drive for us lately, so it fits in very well for us at the moment.
Oh, that's great to hear, Kubis. I mean, it's just been so much fun with the additional value that you have brought to the event as well. And, I was searching through, some of the Seagate products as well. It seems as though the gaming world, you mentioned it a little bit there, is pretty vital, especially when it comes to storage.
No, absolutely. You're right, Sasha. I mean, we've got now the FireCuda 520, which is up for grabs as well during this competition. And it's currently one of the fastest gaming drives out there. So we're very proud to have that on the market. We've also got PlayStation-specific drive. We've got Xbox drive. So we're very much involved and invested in the gaming world.
Yeah, it is incredible what these things can do. And I mean, I looked at that FireCuda one that you put up for grabs, and of course, our second place driver tonight in the grand final is not only going to be getting the 7,000 Rand from AfriHost, but that Seagate FireCuda drive worth 3.5 grand is going to be given to that lucky gentleman this evening as well. So it's great to see that not only are you putting your money behind the series and behind the event, but throwing a couple of little, extra bits and pieces in there too, which I take my hat off to you. It's brilliant to have a sponsor like that wants to get involved and get engaged.
No, absolutely, Greg. We're pretty proud to be part of this, and we're looking forward to the next edition.
Yeah, great, Kubis. It's been fantastic to have you on board. We look forward to the next one. With all of the racing that you watched, do you have any favorites this evening? Have you identified anybody that you think, man, this could be the person to win it tonight?
I must be honest, Absmeyer is one of my favorites. He's been mostly in the Seagate green car as well. And obviously, I support the Seagate green cars, so I'll keep my eye out for him.
I love that, though. There's a story behind that, just to let everybody know. In the middle of the thick of one of the most exciting races we've ever seen with those Audi, Sash, there was a little WhatsApp that popped up on my phone. And I was like, why are you sending me this now? I don't even know this number. Who is this person? And next thing I looked in the picture and it went Kubis, and I was like, oh, hang on a second. This could be the... Yeah, and then as soon as he said, oh, by the way, those are Seagate green cars, I was like, okay, well, clearly we're going to just do this now from here on out.
I just knew you're gonna mention the whole green again, and I knew I had to chirp you on that one to say, no, Greg, it's not whole green anymore, it's Seagate green.
100%, buddy. And we'll keep it Seagate green as long as you guys are with us, and we do appreciate everything that your whole team has put together with this event. And we wish you all the very best. I hope that it has been exactly what you asked for.
No, absolutely. Thank you, guys, and thank you for the great work you guys have been doing as well. Thank you very much.
Magic, Kubis.
Thank you, Kubis. Yeah, brilliant stuff.
All right, so there's Kubis. We're going to let you log off and go and enjoy the action, buddy. And thanks so much for joining us for the interview. We do appreciate all your support. And, of course, now moving into race action on track at the moment, Sash, with the plate final qualifying. There's a couple of things to go through just before we get into the next part of our proceedings this evening. And, of course, one of the things is to mention that you and me and the man behind us in the production team, as well as our two background technical team guys, have to try and find a driver of the day. And the driver of the day has to come from either final. It doesn't necessarily have to come from the grand final. It could come out of the plate final. That person has been allocated the 300 gig LTE router and line for 12 months, courtesy of AfriHost, which is worth about 20,000 Rand. So driver of the day is up for grabs, boys and girls. And if there is anybody listening to us and has got comms to those drivers, we need to see a good show. Driver of the day doesn't necessarily mean the man who wins both of the finals. It could be, depending on what he does. You never know.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic initiative, Greg. I'm so looking forward to that. And And I think out of every single race that we've had, from the hot laps to when we started off with the Alfa Romeos, you could have chosen a driver of the day, and it didn't necessarily mean it was the person who won the race. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to keeping my eyes very, very close to that screen this evening.
It's going to be fantastic. I think we've got a bit of cars on track, Bryn. If we can have a look maybe at those cars on track, just so we can have a squiz at what this beast looks like. I know that the liveries have also been given to the drivers. Nico Nicolaisen is out there as well. Now, to give you an indication as well, we've also got the Volkswagen Motorsport Academy Award to be given away tonight. And we've got 5 drivers that could potentially have a go at it. It all depends on where they've fallen. We're not going to mention where they've fallen at this stage, but there is a chance for a couple of these youngsters, or one of them, out of the 5 that we've got, to possibly step up and get that incredible opportunity given by Volkswagen South Africa and Volkswagen Motorsport South Africa to enter 2021's Volkswagen Motorsport Academy.
Yeah, that's also another brilliant initiative. I'm so excited, and I really hope we get an invite to go and watch these guys when they have that opportunity to go out with VW. But going on to just having a look at some of those cars, Greg, I mean, they're all in the McLaren P1, the GTR. It's incredible that a car like that, only 3.8 litre V8, yes, it's twin turbo and it's got electric motors, but 986 horsepower. It's got DRS system, which I think this evening is really going to be critical down that long back straight. Exactly how it works, I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's going to be very, very effective. And we could see some magic passing with people using the DRS. I hope these guys know how to use it properly, because using it through the corners could be a little bit hairy.
Yeah, exactly. If you push that at the wrong time, it's going to launch you, like we saw a couple of times last night when the servers started to give us a bit of issues with cars flying through the forests. So, yeah, it's definitely worthwhile having a look at. Now, remember, not only does it have the DRS, but the curse system is involved as well. And then we go with a fixed setup for these cars tonight. So, literally, the drivers can play around with their tire pressures and their fuel loads. And that's the only thing that they can really play with to differentiate themselves from each other in each of these finals.
Yeah, and I'm sure most of these drivers had a chance to go out onto the went out today and did some laps to try and get an idea as to exactly what they can expect from these cars. But reading some of the comments from the guys from Discord saying that this is a beast and it's pretty difficult to control. But the caliber of driving that we've seen, I think we're going to see some sensational racing this evening.
Yeah, no doubt about that one, Sash. I think the caliber of driving we've seen through all 3 of these events has been world class. And that's why I kept saying during the event, and I would say it again probably tonight on numerous occasions, the way that these guys behave and the way that they drive. And we even heard it last night from some of our commentators that joined us for the commentator search. They were saying it's incredible that they can get so up close and personal, and they're only sitting with a steering wheel locked to a table or in a rig or with no force feedback or with force feedback or whatever they're using. But the bottom line is they don't have the same feedback that they would have in a normal race car, where they can judge that gap, they can play around with the bumps and barges that will happen in the race car, and they still get so up close and personal, and the racing is so tight.
I think, Greg, it comes down to the fundamentals of basic racing. And also, don't forget, all of these drivers have driver briefings before they go out onto the circuit in the sim world, just as it happens in the real world. But, once you understand how racing works, if you try and brake test somebody, of course, you're going to create a massive accident, and the stewards are going to most probably black flag you and kick you out of the race. So all of them do have an idea of where the person in front of them is going to brake, unless they make a mistake. So it's having that unbelievable faith in the driver that you are competing with, that they are going to do their absolute best to stick to racing lines and, of course, to braking points as well. So the quality is superb.
It has been. It really has. And, of course, we also had a great opportunity to now bring in our 2 guests for this evening, who are going to be joining yourself for the plate final, and probably going to take us through the entire plate final as well. That's the plan. We've got an announcement to make, which you might have heard earlier on if you were watching the social media pages and the social media, particularly on Solidarity E-Race. But after the 7 competitors that we had involved in this incredible commentator search, and we have to say a big thanks to Craig Ecote, Richard Herring, Michael Ellett, and Niels Kemp for their entries, and we're going to give a very big honourable mention to the young 11-year-old Clark King for his incredible efforts last night. But after we'd gone through the whole judging, the whole adjudication process, basically taking into account what their social media post was like last night and how much engagement they were able to bring on that one that was posted on Solidarity E-Race's page, their presenting and commentary skills, which of course you and I had a little bit of input into, and then our 7 anonymous judges in the judging panel made a call, and it was so close, literally a couple of points splitting them between the two of them. And literally, we came down to 2 of these commentators that ended up on equal points. And we kind of thought to ourselves, well, we don't really want to make somebody have to jump in, which would have been somebody that we'd have to call from the outside to make a sort of a call to say, which one do you think is the best? We thought, no, hang on a second. Let's get them both in and let's let them handle the plate final tonight. So it gives me great pleasure to announce the winners of the commentator search, George Smith and Carl Lawrence. And they're joining us right now. Hey, guys.
How's it, Greg? How's it, Sasha?
Hello.
Yeah, congratulations, guys. Superb effort from everybody last night. And I think the judges have been extremely fair in getting both of you on here this evening. I think nothing to touch between the two of you, different styles, different kinds of delivery. But congratulations to you both for your enthusiasm and your excitement and, of course, your passion.
No, thank you so much, Sash, for the kind words, and thank you, Greg, for the opportunity. But it's been amazing to be here, and I'm so chuffed to beat out the talent that was before me. Last night was amazing. But to be here is a great opportunity, and to be here with George as well, learning from some of you guys that have done this a lot longer than me is exciting.
Yeah, from my side, I'm super stoked to be here with you, Carl. I loved what you did, and I loved what everyone did before us. I think that's a great opportunity, really humbled to be here, and looking forward to the plate final.
The one cool thing about these 2 gentlemen joining us, Sash, of course, is it does split the 2 worlds and give us an option out of both. And I know there was a bit of back and forth through the week and through all 3 events, particularly with the rivalries that happened between real races and sim races. And of course, the call to have e-racing celebrities involved in events like we have. And of course, we've now got one of those e-racing celebrities joining us this evening. So it just bodes well for how we're going to move forward with this event and with the next event coming up and more into the future. To have guys like George and, of course, to have guys like Carl joining us and being part and parcel of a team that we could put together that could handle. We may be able to split the commentary a little bit and maybe give a presenting role to somebody, maybe even have somebody sort of pit lane as a pit lane guy. There's so many ways and means of doing what we're doing here. And when it's online and virtual, there's just so many options to play with.
Yeah, Greg, and I think we're also, the opportunity that both Kyle and George are going to have now is to spend time with you, hopefully when lockdown opens, go to circuits with you and experience the real world of racing. And I think, there's so much that we can learn from people like George from the sim world and exactly how that fraternity works. And hopefully he'll also learn a lot from the real world racing, just to see how exciting it is when you actually can smell and see the cars right next to you as well. So I think it's a fabulous opportunity for both of these young guys, and I'm really, really delighted for them and so happy that they're part of this team this evening as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the mix. I mean, if you look through the grid of the people that are, or the drivers that are in this race, it's such a nice mix between real world and sim racing. The real world boys have something to prove to say that they can come to sim racing and be on the pace, and the sim racers have something to prove to the race boys to show them, look, if we ever came and joined you on the circuit, you'd be in trouble. So I'm excited to see the mix and see the racing between them.
Listen, I've got to say something to Carl. Sorry, Georgie, before you jump in, just give me 1 second. I'll come to you right now. Just something I picked up on Carl there. Letitia's helmet wrap behind you. But just on its left-hand side there, can you just take us through what those 2 bottles are and why they're so empty? Anyway, sorry about that. It was just something I picked up, which I think was quite lekker.
No, I mean, I'm excited, touching on what Sasha said, the opportunity for me to get involved and come and see some real life racing is obviously an opportunity that I've never had before. So from my end, it's a lot of excitement. Looking over at Kyle's shelf behind it, it definitely makes me a bit envious that that's the background shot that you've got set up there. It looks like a really good setup in a bar for, some good stories behind it and some nice race shots on the wall too. So yeah, from my side, I'd love to share the journey and share the adventure on the sim racing side. It's an open market for everybody to jump in and learn. So I'm excited about it all.
Phew, Greg, I tell you, I'm getting so excited. I know the guys are probably out there doing their qualifying runs. We are ready for an exceptional plate final. Do you want to go through maybe the prizes again as to what everybody can win this evening in this race?
Yes, indeed. That's a great idea. And of course, we are looking to, first of all, split the prize here between the two gentlemen either side of us. They're going to be sharing the 3,000 Rand. So it's 1,500 bucks each, boys, which I think is not bad considering that there's no work out there for anybody. So that'll definitely go down well. And if everything goes according to plan with CR's announcement later on this evening, Carl, those two bottles might be able to be filled up with that 1,500 bucks. On top of that,
I was just about to comment. At least I can fill up the bar now with that 1,500.
Exactly. On top of that, as you heard from George, you're going to be joining myself and maybe even Sash on a few occasions when we are on events together, like we do on a few occasions in the year. And have a chance to work with the two of us as a bit of a mentorship, but I don't really need to mentor the two of you. Your skills are pretty up there, but it's just to hone those skills a little bit as well and give you the opportunities that, as George said, he might not have had and maybe Carl hasn't had in the past with sim racing and real world racing into the world that both Sash and I make our way into on occasion. And then, of course, the plate final contenders are up for a 3,500 Rand prize kitty, which will be shared between them. It's 2,000 Rand for first place. It's 1,000 Rand for second place and 500 Rand going to the man in third. And then we will also be doing some live interviews with those guys and those drivers straight after this one. So that's basically what the plate final is all about here this evening.
Yeah, I tell you, and it came, started with 80 drivers. It whittled down to 60. And then, of course, on Friday and Saturday, we had these amazing, on Saturday, we had these amazing semi-finals, whittled it down to 40. Greg, those who just missed it know that, the slight little mistake here and there cost them a chance into this plate final and the grand final. But I think every single driver learnt a lot going around the Green Hell. This is a spectacular circuit to drive on and incredibly difficult to pass on as well. And I mean, we had very few major accidents. I think that the driving has been stupendous.
Other than Richard van Heerden's server issue where he went flying through the trees last night, there was not really any big one. George, from your side of things, though, the Green Hell and the Nordschleife, as a venue, we spoke about it last night. I mean, it's arguably one of the most famous racetracks in the world, but it definitely caught a couple of guys out in terms of maybe chasing a few guys away because they were scared of it, but other guys were up for the challenge.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a mixture. I think some people may have also owned Assetto Corsa. Some people maybe not familiar with it and not wanting to jump into something that they weren't quite familiar with. So, with sim racing comes a lot of pride. If you're good in one simulator, it doesn't necessarily go across, although there are guys that can just jump between the two. Or 3 or 4 or whatever they want to dabble in. I think the Nordschleife is definitely something that has caught people off guard. I think the car combinations that they've had to deal with as well. It's not like you've just had one car to deal with the entire time round. You've been chucked into a variety of cars. You've had to learn different braking points, different gearing. It really has been a challenge for everybody here. So I think it has tested the drivers to their limits, and at the same time, it's kind of maybe spaced out the on-track racing a little bit from what we've seen on some of the closer track racing. But it's different niches and it's different styles, and it appeals to different people. So people just have to understand at the end of the day that on a track like the Nordschleife, the guys aren't going to be just diving in on the first lap. You'll find those battles heating up towards the end of the stages. And that's just what you're preparing yourself for here as well. If you're going and watching a 6-hour race, you're not expecting the racing in the first hour to just be all you're going to be excited for. I mean, it's the same sort of principle applied here.
Well, Carl, I think looking at that, you need to maybe bring George up to speed with what happens in karting endurance races. And over the first probably 10 minutes, even though it's a 6-hour or a 12-hour or even a 24-hour, it literally means that there's flat out racing for the entire period.
Look, I mean, even not just even from the endurance side, karters generally, we tend to be a little bit more aggressive on any sort of race. But it is also a final. It's not like it's qualifying round or a pre-final or a heat race. It's a final. Where you finish here is where you're going to end up overall. So I think guys are going to be a little bit more anxious to make moves a little bit more early on. We're probably going to see more than we saw last night, especially with the Zondas. I mean, now the McLaren P1s have got and DR opportunity to use different aspects to get past. But another thing George mentioned is the mix between Assetto, ACC, and all the other sims. Beyond that, you guys have also taken away setup. So now it's just the car you've got with a bit of tire pressures and a bit of fuel. So that's also changed the grid up a bit as well. A lot of the drivers spend more time on their setup, making the car right for their style. And then there's the drivers that are, we call them, the natural talents who can just get into anything and be fast. So it's created quite a mix-up in the grid, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, very, very good points there from Kyle. And also just to Kyle and George, a message here from Zak Anguris. Tikani says, congratulations, guys, on getting through to the tonight and winning the commentator search. So congrats from Zach. And yeah, we're just about ready to go racing. I think we've got some action on track, Greg.
Okay, well, we were about to go racing, but looks like basically one big disappointment, which I'll throw to George first while we're getting that up onto the screen. George, I think Wesley Farrant must be pretty disappointed that he just missed out on getting into that top 20.
Yeah, I mean, Wes has shown tremendous pace and talent, obviously pairing up with Zahir Essa and doing a lot of work together there. Would be kicking himself to end up where he is at the moment, but obviously still in it to win it, and being in the plate final doesn't mean that you're out of the racing. That sometimes is part of going racing and sim racing, is you don't always get the card that you feel you should have been dealt, and you just have to deal with whatever you have to deal with there. So I think Wes would be a little bit disappointed, but at the same time would be chuffed to be at the front pack of the plate final, even though points now mean pretty much nothing going into it, as I understand. Am I right, Greg?
Yep. There's no points tonight. Everything happens on the track. So whatever happens out on the black stuff will determine who the first, second, and third places are. Of course, after we've had a chance to, that's the very one we're looking for, Brent. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask the same question to Carl and move it down one position to Mitchell Larson. There's a young man who spent hours and hours and hours behind the wheel of a kart. He also spent a huge amount of time setting everything up and looked good. But he was one of those drivers that made a slight error in his heat that cost him and just didn't give him enough points to get in.
Yeah, Mitchell Larson, a keen karter. He used to be part of the Engine Extreme team when I was competing. I've actually had to race against him a couple of times at his home circuit in Idube, and he is a super, super fast driver. But he's also one of those drivers that's very, very keen on his setup. His father, Alex, also very good with car setup. He's an engine builder himself. So he always spends a lot more time on the setup to find his pace. Not he's a great driver, but, maybe that was something that he was lacking on the Nordschleife last night and caused him to make the mistake he made dropping back. And he really did push hard to make his way back up, but unfortunately not quite close enough. So he's going to be kicking himself, and he's definitely got the pace to run at the front of this plate final. But if we look back at Henry as well, we saw Henry in the last semi-final deciding not to make a move in the closing stages, which also seems to have cost him, dropping him down to third for the plate, third in the points for the plate final.
Yeah, very much so. I think very, very good points as well. But I want to go back to what you said a little earlier, Kyle, and it's something we've noticed on the Nordschleife, very, very difficult to overtake, as we know. And even if it's an endurance race, and in a way, this is an endurance race because it's 6 laps as opposed to the 2 laps that we've had. But track position is critical in any form of racing, whether it's endurance race or sprint race. And I think we've noticed in all of the heats, somebody who's gotten out front has been very, very difficult to catch and overtake.
Yeah, I think it's the way the circuit lends itself towards it. It's very, very tight and twisty in the first opening section of the actual lap. So, what we normally do as racing drivers is we attack the first few corners hard to find a good track position to set ourselves up for a good run during the event or during the race. And what seems to be happening is that the poleman's always seems to get into the front on the start, and with the people jostling behind him to try and get comfortable, it's giving him the gap to get away. So look, I think if depending on what qualifying looks like at the end of this, but second place man needs to be looking at getting himself ahead going into turn 1, and he could actually follow the same vein and get away from everybody else behind him.
Well, Carl, I think we need to get ready to go racing. And George, I hope you're ready to go as well. Remember, it is not a 2-lap race this evening. We are going for a 3-lapper, so there's an additional lap to play with for the plate final. There's a couple extra in the grand final, which Sasha and I will take you through a little bit later on this evening. But gentlemen, I wish you all the very best, and thank you once again for being part of this incredible competition. The Commentator search, part and parcel of our Seagate Gaming Solidarity E-Race. We congratulate both of you. I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Mr. Sasha Martinengo to take you to the line with the cars, as I believe that they're out on track and rolling towards where our start line will be here at the Nordschleife Affair.
All right, I think we're just waiting for the service to kick in. I think we're very, very excited, guys. I'll take us through the beginning of the race, and as soon as the green flag goes, I'm going to pass it on to you, and try not to stumble over each other, but have a tremendous amount of fun, and I'll jump in here and there during the course of the race. But I think 3 laps around the Nordschleife are going to be pretty hairy for these guys in the McLaren. 986 horsepower. George, that's a lot of power for these guys.
Yeah, a lot of power. Like we mentioned earlier, we touched on the KERS and the DRS usage. It's going to come down to using that as well. It's not just about, trying to navigate the green hull. It's all about, getting those buttons used correctly. I do know that, the DRS is quite sensitive. It does, disengage if you are making too many steering inputs. So, you really want to engage it on the straight portions of the track. Obviously, that's a bit of a safety feature as well, coming into, some of the corners that the guys want to use. And, of course, making usage of their battery packs as well. The Nordschleife will be a place that it will become interesting. I'm not quite sure if the plate finalists will have the same sort of battle as the main finalists with the longer race. I think that's where the battery side will become interesting. From my side, I'm excited to see what these guys do.
Yeah, Kyle, talking about the sort of energy recovery system, the KERS under braking, we saw it was relatively effective using the Porsche 918 last night over the 3 laps. Is it going to be that much of an effect as we cross over to our live pictures? Look at these magnificent McLaren P1 GTRs all on the track. A KERS system going to be critical, Kyle?
Oh no, for sure. It's basically like having a cheat code on your steering wheel. So I mean, even if we're talking a lot about using it to pass, but it's also great for should you not get on the power, have to catch an oversteer moment, just to get away from the guy behind you and not allow him the opportunity to pass. It saves you with that as well.
Well, I tell you, we have got a huge amount of active people watching us this evening. Keep your comments coming through on the various Facebook live streams. Of course, it's on AfriHost, it's on Solidarity, it is on Greg Maloney's page, it's on F1 Sasha as well, and a whole host of others. So share it along and let's see what we do. Wesley Ferrant, that's who we're on board with at the moment as we go into our rolling start. Of course, it is a single file start for all of the drivers. And then thereafterwards, it is just 3 laps of massive racing as they go into this negative camber corner. Rian Tienison's going to start off in 3rd position. There we go, Rian, I got your name right. He was having a go at me for getting his name wrong. Well, I tell you, it is Rian Tienison. He's going to be in 3rd position this evening. And we are just about at green flag status. You've got to be tucked into the driver in front of you. Here we go, green racing. Here we go, around the Nordschleife. It is the plate final. Let's cross over to G-Max and Kyle.
Yeah, Kruger going to lead us.
Very clever to get going quickly. He managed to get himself a bit of a gap straight away. So maybe hitting the KERS button straight off the road and getting away from Tennyson there straight away.
Yeah, 100%. Tennis is going to have to do that hard work, Carl, that you mentioned earlier. He needs to catch down onto Kruger, who is running away with the field as we ride on board with Brett here, who's caught up in this mid-pack battle. This is what you were talking about. I don't know if you want to touch on that with the viewers as we see a P1 taking out another P1 in front. Two GTRs are going to have to go over to the stewards, Carl.
Yeah, that's Henberg getting it wrong there. I think he tried to have a go down the inside, grabbed too much curve, and it just shot him off into the left. Taking off, I didn't quite see who it was that went off with him, but dropping way down into the 10th place as we ride on board now. Oh, sorry, guys, I've lost visual.
Yeah, we're on with Mark Henbury at the moment, and he's going to try and make another car. It's just gone off as well. I think it's Henbury again. He's got all sorts of damage. No, he's got ahead of Kruger. I think it's Kruger who's gone down and managed to hold his position. But I tell you, the other Kruger at front, I think it's Brandon Kruger at front, Tennyson right on him, only half a second. This is exciting stuff, George.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
the big winner there would be Larson moving his way up into third.
Yeah, these McLarens are proving a tough call to prove on these tires at this point in time. I know that these cars do struggle with a bit of downforce here, and you do see these guys are making some early mistakes. I think that race pressure is getting to them. Up at the front, though, Rian Tennyson is doing what he needs to do in chasing down onto the back of Kruger. Kruger, of course, does not want to get himself anybody to contest and have his rearview mirror full of McLaren P1. The two of them, though, have got away from third place, which is Lyson. So if Lyson can catch up to those two cars, we could see a three-way battle at the front. Of course, 3 laps still to go.
Yeah, Tennyson there doing a big hanging on to Kruger. So he's pulled himself in within 0.4, but Ferrand is on a massive charge. Only 0.2 off Brett now in front of him. We ride on board with him now, having a look at Brett. Let's see if he actually uses a bit of curves there. No, he's saving it for the rest of the lap as they head now into the left-hander. Brett looking a little bit untidy, grabbing too much grass on the inside there as well. So this is an interesting battle forming behind them as well. So great battles all the way through the field.
This is the plate final that we are watching for the Seagate Solidarity E-Race. It's Brandon Kruger in the front moment. Pulled a little bit of a gap on Tennyson. It's now massive mistake there from Wesley Ferrand. Can you believe it, from 5th place? And he's dropped down, and Tennyson has dropped down as well. Mitchell Lyson has taken his. Tennyson has made a huge mistake somewhere. Wesley Ferrand has gone up actually to 4th position, and it seems like Brett was the one who actually made the mistake. He's dropped down to 9th position here, and Mitchell Lyson up in 2nd. We're now with Corne Brett. He's got it all to do, but right at the back of Ferrari as well. So look at that, a gaggle of McLaren P1 GT3s from 9th all the way down to 15.
Oh, making a bit of a mistake coming into the carousel. One of them sends it down. I think that Teings is dropping down the order. Sorry there, Carl. I think that Teings is dropping down the order there. So coming into the carousel, things proving to be a little bit treacherous. These guys are definitely not holding back. This does not feel like the racing that we witnessed last night. These guys are fighting for it all. The stewards, of course, are going to be kept busy. I'm not quite sure if some of the racing incidents have been self-causation. Of course, these cars proving to be a bit of a handful and being pushed to the limits. These guys are finding them to definitely struggle to stay on the black stuff.
The one thing we haven't noticed as well is that Tennyson's obviously made a mistake and has put Mitchell Larson up into 2nd. And Ferrand was just within spinning distance, almost 0.4 off him, but he's dropped down to 1.1. So mistakes happening all over the place throughout the entire grid. And obviously, it's a final. They're not looking for points now. They're looking for the W, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, and I tell you, Wesley Ferrand has got his mirrors full with the spell break. So this is maybe why he's losing pace. Although he's picked up huge pace, he's now right in the back of Tennyson as well. So Wesley Ferrand just got a charge there, maybe engaging his curves to get him closer up to Wesley, to Tennyson. But Kruger in the front, 3.1 seconds. The rest of the pack going to have a lot of work to do to try and catch him.
Wesley Ferrand is definitely trying. Wesley Ferrand is definitely trying to make something happen as he makes a wide mistake, and that's going to cost him 2 positions. just like that in this pack-by-pack racing, you can cause yourself a mistake. He does try and fight back for position, is going to be cut off, not quite sure, as Gunham cuts right across the corner. I think a bit of oversteer from the McLaren, trying to secure the position there. Good work by Ferrand not to make a collision as they come down the straight. Of course, this is where they will be using their DRS and making sure they can get the most out of the top end.
Well, I tell you, I'm glad we crossed over to Daniel Rowe. I mean, I think he started down in 17th place. He's now up to 9th. He's just got past Breert as well, as everyone now going to be kicking in their DRS and maybe their curves as well, Kyle.
Yeah, Daniel Rowe, unfortunately, having an issue with his pedals and his sturdy, so unable to set a lap. He has made an astonishing drive all the way up to 9th place. And yeah, we can see the moving and the shaking as everybody's going for DRS deployment and curves.
Look at that oversteer as they come around the end of the straights. I mean, you touched on it, Carl. They were going for their DRS. You saw people. We've seen another incident. That close racing again going to prove treacherous. These guys are pushing things to the limits, and these McLaren P1s do not seem to like the curbs.
Yeah, it's Breert again having a bit of an issue there. I think the stewards must be scratching their head as how they're going to sort out the shenanigans going on here at the moment.
Sash, can I jump in quickly?
Yeah, I definitely think.
Sorry to jump in quickly, boys. Just getting information coming through from Mike Rowe from Volkswagen, saying Daniel Rowe had a bit of an issue with his steering wheel in the qualifying, and the pedals froze completely, so he didn't get a qualifying lap in, which is why he's having to battle from so far back.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Kyle actually had that information, which is terrific. Now we're into the second lap, guys. It's a 4.5 second gap that Kruger has over Mitchell Lyson. What is he going to do about this as we follow Anthony Gunham?
Yeah, Kruger getting a decent gap there on Lyson. I mean, I was going to say, maybe he's pushing too hard in the beginning and it's going to hurt those tires. But Lyson also had to fight his way through the field. So it's going to be interesting to see what the tire wear is going to be like for the both of them and who can hold their concentration the longest. We can see these guys are pushing flat out to the max by how many incidents and offs we've had in this race.
They're also struggling with a bit of the following effect with the aero. I mean, obviously they're getting some dirty air as they follow so close. We're going to see Tiaan van Rooyen going almost side by side, catches an oversteery moment that could have gone oh so wrong, manages it to keep it on the track, still doesn't lose another position. Luckily enough for him, Breert has picked up some damage. Obviously, we've seen that on track. He's had a couple of collisions with the wall, and of course, that's something to bear in mind going into the rest of the race, is that some of these cars are going to have picked up some damage, and that's going to affect their top end, it's going to affect their downforce, and make what is a handful car even more difficult to get around here.
I tell you, some great racing over here. Tiaan van Rooyen, he's looking to chase on to Eli Vergara, but right behind him, he's got Breert and these guys are battling for 14th place. Don't forget, guys, we are looking for a driver of the day as well, which could come from either one of these races. So we're watching everybody very closely. Wesley Ferrand has got past Gunham as we still stick with Van Rooyen. Can he do anything about Eli Vergara?
Yeah, Eli Vergara, a lesser-known driver from East London. Quite a top car to his day, but Gunham seems to have lost quite a bit of pace on Ferrand, even though Ferrand only just got past. So I wonder if there wasn't a touch or a mistake there when that move happened.
Yeah, it looks like Gunham made some kind of a mistake, but we're staying on board with him. Yeah, he's losing quite a lot of time to Wesley Ferrand at the moment.
Yeah, he does not look like he's comfortable at all.
Keeping that gap at 4.5 seconds. It's not an easy task to do when you're leading.
No, it's not a difficult job at all. I mean, chasing down is one thing, leading a race is another. And of course, then just keeping a clean and level head and knowing that you just need to do the right thing. So, of course, going to go over to the Seagate Green McLaren P1 as Brandon Kruger builds that lead all the way up to 4 seconds. I mean, he looks like he's comfortable as can be. You can throw him in this car again. You can see he's avoiding the curves, and I think that's exactly what you want to do at the front. Just keep it tidy, and if you do find that you are dropping down a little bit, it's not the end of the world. You've also got a little bit of room to then squeeze a little bit more out, Kyle.
Well, yeah, I got to tell you, Carl, sorry to just jump in here, but I tell you, Mitchell Lyson's pulled about half a second, was at about 3.7. Now it's dropped down to 3.9 as well. So Brandon Kruger maybe just easing off a little bit, just making sure that he's got his rhythm.
Yeah, I was about to say, Mitchell Lyson obviously listening to us, because he's gone ahead and proved us wrong and brought it down from 4.3 to, it's back up to 4.1 now. So they're obviously just playing with the gaps a bit, but Ferrand, only half a second off the car in front of him, now 0.6. So he is on a full-out charge to get himself back onto a podium position. Tennyson doesn't look that comfortable at the moment because he seems to be dropping off Lyson and into the clutches of this battle.
Yeah, so Ferrand continues to pressure here onto Van Schalkwyk. Van Schalkwyk making mistakes means that Ferrand will be able to get the charge. But of course, Ferrand here does look like the faster car, and Van Schalkwyk holding him up means that this is going to slow down his potential to catch up to the leading cars in front. It will be an interesting place. Ferrand, a very, very cautious driver, a gentleman driver at that, will make sure that a move being done is a clean move. And he will be following closely, waiting for that mistake to be made.
Huge mistake there from Van Schalkwyk.
Huge mistake.
Ferrand makes
putting just enough pressure on Van Schalkwyk to make an error.
Yeah, just exactly what he wanted to do. Just fill up those mirrors, make him miss the braking point, and Ferrand will get the move done. And Van Schalkwyk there also a big slam into the wall, right? He might lose out even harder to the cars behind him. Big gap still, but going to be something to consider.
Well, I tell you, Wesley Ferrand has got 6 seconds to try and chase Tennyson. So I tell you, he's really, really going to have to put a charge. Here we are with Daniel Rowe, Kyle. This has been a mega drive, considering the issues he's had. He's just got past Under Roots, and he's only 3 seconds down the road from Gunham.
Yeah, Roots and Henrik obviously promoting him up to 7. Take nothing away from this man. He's driven from the back of the grid into the top 10 and is moving his way up to the top 5. If my vote counted for driver of the day, it would definitely be on Daniel Rowe. He seems to be catching Gunham at a rate of loss. So Gunham obviously not comfortable, not getting used to the circuit, or he's used all his curves up already.
Mitchell Lyson has just put in the fastest lap, a 6:33. They now go down the long straight, getting close to the end of the second lap. They do have 1 lap to go. And look at that gap. It's only 0.4 of a second between Kruger and Mitchell Lyson. So Kruger's definitely made some kind of a mistake. We are going to have a brilliant final lap.
Yeah, Mitchell Lyson is now on the charge. Kruger,
yeah, this is where
had that padding before. Look at the move. Look at the gap being chased down. Has Kruger picked up some damage, or has he driven the entire race with his curves on? Maybe he hasn't saved it for the end of the charge. But Mitchell Lyson is really on fire here, Carl.
Yeah, we're heading into a section now where passes are possible. You can see them just lifting over the bumpers. He's getting uncomfortable. Lyson was a little bit cautious there. He didn't want to run into the back of Kruger, which is probably a good plan, but still another lap to go. But Lyson, I know him as a driver. I've watched him drive. He always looks like he's on a Sunday afternoon drive going fast. So they're on a last lap now. But he's always very, very confident behind the wheel. He never seems to push too hard to make a mistake. So Kruger in big trouble here unless he gets the hammer down fast.
I tell you, this is going to be a cracker for the win this evening. What a brilliant second lap from Mitchell Lyson, only within 7/10 of Kruger at the front there. Let's see if Lyson hopefully hasn't used all of his curves during that lap. Another guy to watch as well, he's dropped the gap from 6 seconds to 2 seconds. That is Daniel Rowe in 7th, chasing Gunham. But this is what it's all about, the plate final, George, between Kruger and Mitchell Lyson.
Leader on the final lap, that's what will be screamed through the crew chief's ears, and Mitchell Lyson will know just that. Like Kyle touched on earlier, Lyson looking very comfortable compared to Kruger. Kruger has given himself a little bit more space here to really think about what he wants to get done. If he did make a big mistake, I mean, the fact that he was 4.5 seconds up the road before Mitchell caught up to him means that he probably did have something that went completely wrong. And if he has picked up some damage, the high speed places are where Lyson will really want to capitalize. So we see that he's dropped off 1.3 seconds here at the moment, but don't discard the battle till the very end. We've seen all kinds of things happen right on the very last corner too. So for now, First being held by Kruger, but tentatively.
Yeah, Lyson in the first part of the last. Oh, big mistake from Lyson. Runs wide, grabs the wall, and that's it. All the work done by Lyson in the last part of the last lap is ruined. 2.3 seconds now. So Kruger needs to keep the hammer down. He mustn't get complacent now because Lyson is on a charge. So he probably will come back at him, but big mistake there, costing him dearly.
Yeah, now we cross over to Daniel Rowe. He's just 6/10 behind Gannon. There's been a superb drive from the GTC VW driver. And looking down the inside, all of that kind of experience. Has he got curves left as well? Not the easiest part to overtake on this stage of the circuit. But if he just keeps that pressure on, he might force Gannon into a little bit of a mistake, or maybe get a run on in into one of the corners and dive down the inside.
Daniel Rowe is carrying a lot of speed compared to Gunham in front of him. You see just how he closes down through the corners. So feeling a lot more confident with how much speed he can carry through the corners. And Gunham going to be aware of this. And especially coming into corners in sections like this on the circuit, is going to be having to put his car in a defensive position. And that's going to potentially cost him positions. We saw how defensive driving is difficult in situations like this earlier. Wesley Ferrand getting moves done by doing just this, putting pressure on and trying to squeeze the other driver out. Daniel Rowe getting right onto the back of Gunham. And this is the final lap. This is where you want things to change up. If you're in 7th now, 6th is possible. It's all for pride. It's all for everything. And running wide is Gunham, but Rowe going to follow through, trying to carry as much speed as possible.
Yeah, I was going to touch on something there as well, George, is that if you watch the driving from Rowe, he's actually trail braking and V'ing up the line. So he's carrying a lot more mid-corner speed than Gunham in front of him. Gunham trying to take a sweeping line as opposed to V'ing it in. But unfortunately, Rowe making a mistake to the carousel there and not getting out the corner the way he should. So Gunham getting away from him now through this section.
Yeah, I tell you, that was a big mistake there from Daniel Rowe. Lost a bit of time. Oh, they're coming up to a back marker as well, I think. They're coming up to a bit of a... No, Gunham is now on the back of Van Schalkwyk. So, Van Schalkwyk, Gunham and Rowe. This is for fifth position here this evening, and we got about 10, 12 Ks to go. Look at this for a racing.
In GT3 racing, see these
Gunham
trains
making a
work
mistake
out,
there now,
and the
running
car
wide
in
grass,
front
so
is often the one that loses out the heaviest. And this is a great place for Rowe to try and be and do something. Oh, a little touch has happened.
Got it sideways. Gunham got it sideways.
Rowe with a little tap there. The stewards will be busy looking into this one. Gunham going to try and get that McLaren back on circuit, try and save the positions that he's made. And it is going to be one lost as Roots goes on by in this. Gunham going to drop down to 8th.
Yeah, I don't know if the stewards need to have a look at that, because unfortunately I think Van Schalkwyk broke a little bit earlier than Rowe was expecting and what Gunham was expecting, and that caused Rowe to run into the back of him. But that's allowed Roos to get closer, obviously getting a bit too excited and running wide as he got closer. But Rowe all over the back of Van Schalkwyk. Something's wrong with that car, Van Schalkwyk.
Yeah, Van Schalkwyk seems to have had all sorts of problems, and now 23 seconds. Oh, it's a massive crash there from Van Schalkwyk. He goes off, he takes Rowe down. Roots jumps over him as well. And I tell you, this brought Gunham into the game as well. So Roots, unfortunately, passenger there. I mean, Rowe's a bit of a passenger there. Gunham, now I want to get back one on Daniel Rowe.
Yeah, so Roots there is going to be the biggest winner overall, jumping up into 5th. And Xander Roots, I believe, coming over from the real-life driving side into the sim racing side, and really doing quite good things here, of course. Brandon Kruger has crossed the line here in 1st. I thought, where was he going to? So Brandon Kruger will hold off Lyson, who crosses the line in 2nd. Tiernasezen in 3rd, and Wesley Ferrand will cross the line in 4th. So, Sasha, incredible racing. I can't believe it.
Unbelievable. Daniel Rowe just got past Xander Roots into the fight. Oh, look at them bouncing over that curve. Roots makes a huge mistake as well. Daniel Rowe nearly makes a mistake. Oh, into the final couple of corners. And it looks like Van Schalkwyk also has gone off as well. Some brilliant end to this race. And it looks like Daniel Rowe from the back of the grid just about into 5th position. Unbelievable. Xander Roots, Gunham, then Van Schalkwyk, Noah Hendricks, Brett, they're coming across the line right at the end of this race. Vergara, Blake Kruger, Nicolaisen, Lindsay, Teagues, Van Rooyen, and Ian Upton. Sure, guys, what an unbelievable race. Man, Nicolaisen had a chance there, Kyle. And unfortunately, just maybe the nerves got to him a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely incredible
Guys,
racing at the
this is
end.
something I've got to tell. Xander
pushing
Roots started in 19th place in front of Daniel Rowe. Sorry, George, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but something I've got to touch on is that Xander Roots qualified in 19th place, just ahead of Daniel Rowe.
Geez, so the two of them, unbelievable drive from both of those guys. George, that was a pretty hairy final.
Yeah, that was a hair-raising final. I think that was definitely drivers pushing to the end of the line. That was drivers pushing for a prize at the end of the day. Everybody pushing to the limits. I think a couple of incidents here and there, a lot of self-caused accidents as well, which then picked up other drivers along the way. Inability to then go in for pits and repair damage means that you are driving with a bit of a death trap that can travel at high speeds. So, it all creates a little bit of interesting racing at the end of the day, but it was good fun. And I hope that the viewers enjoyed it as much as we did.
Yeah. Carl, it's quite incredible. You get into a final and then all of a sudden you start getting a little bit nervous, even in the sim world.
Yeah, I think it's because they know it's the last chance they've got. I mean, we see it all the way through karting. Karting is something that uses a final quite often. We often do 4 or 5 heat races, qualifying, and then pre-final, final. And it'll be all calm and cool and collected all the way up until the final. And from there, it just breaks. I mean, even my phone was having a bit of a moment throughout the race. There was too much going on. The screen couldn't take it anymore. So it was amazing to watch as everybody pushed as hard as they possibly could. The mistakes were aplenty. But look at and Lyson doing a wonderful job there up in front. We saw some small from them, but nothing too race damaging. But to me, 19th and 20th on the grid, up to 5th and 6th, that is drive of anything. I haven't seen a drive like that in years.
Well, it's certainly going to be one that we need to take into account for possibly driver of the day there, Carl. So we will keep that in mind. We might send both of you a little WhatsApp a bit later just to confer with what we think the driver of the day is in case something else happens with the upcoming grand final. But I've got to say from our side, you guys handled that admirably. Yes, there was a little bit of talking over each other, but that, of course, is all coming with the nature of what we're dealing with here on VMix. It's not like you're in a studio where you can wait for the one guy to come off, the other guy to come off. There is also the internet delay to play with too. But you guys did a great job. Sash, thanks so much for putting the thought there. There was a bit of information that I tried to pass on to you guys, and thanks for picking that up as well. It's all part and parcel of the learning curve here, guys. Commentary has changed completely from 1997 when I climbed into Kyle Army's booth with 8 production cars and a piece of paper. Technology allows you to get all that information and to pass it on via the channels that we've been using. That's WhatsApp, that's vMix, that's Discord, and everything that we play with. So I got to say, you guys did a great job. I think the crowds were entertained. There's no doubt about it because you had great entertainment to play with, which also helps out in a big way.
Greg, Sasha, it's been a great opportunity, and like you said, a little bit of talking over one another, and it's things that we will learn and work on together. From my side, again, thanks for having me, Carl. It was really cool to cast a race with you, and I would love to do some more stuff in the future. And Sasha and Greg, it was really just a fun experience, and I think that Nordschleife has been an interesting proving ground for the plate finals, and the grand finals coming up is going to be an ultimate race for you guys to handle.
It certainly is. If I can also just one more thing towards George before we take George off the screen, or you can leave him, it's fine. Not many people know, but today, a month ago it is, Georgie, is the anniversary of your dad and him passing on to the world a little bit better than what we live in. So from our side, we want to wish you all the very best. Thank you for joining us on a special day like this, and I'm sure Dad will be very proud of what you did this evening and put in a valiant effort in the entire competition as well. So from our side, condolences to the family. Please pass that all on and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I appreciate that. And yeah, I don't want to get teary-eyed, but yeah, it means a lot, man.
No, you can.
Yeah,
That's the whole
George,
idea.
thinking of you.
You're allowed
Yeah,
to.
we're thinking of you, and keep on doing what you're doing. You're doing a fabulous job. And Carl, what a pleasure to have you on board as well. I think it was fabulous to commentate, the three of us, and don't worry about the talking over. Those are unfortunate things, and there are little different issues that like internet lag and those kind of things. But I hope you enjoyed the commentary stint as well.
I absolutely, Sasha, to be honest, I absolutely loved it. George, sterling job as always. And it was great to be with the three of you. I mean, the excitement on track made our jobs a little bit easier. It was insane to watch. And I think that sets the tone for the grand final, coming up shortly. I think that's going to be very much the same thing. But, George, thoughts are with you, boy. And all the best. But I look forward to doing this again with you guys soon and possibly more and more often as we go along.
Congratulations,
well done,
gentlemen.
guys.
We're going to ask you just to step out if you don't mind, because we do have to line up our interviews for 1, 2, and 3. But from our side, again, thank you so much for the input, for the experience, for the support, and for being such great sports in this competition. It was a tight competition, as I mentioned, but the two of you came out on top. And I'm sure we're going to see you real soon. I'll be contacting you during the week so we can try and set things up for when lockdown finishes up. And I can make a plan to get the two of you together so we can then make a plan to see what we can do with motorsport and where it's going to go, and with sim racing and where it's going to go as well. And hopefully we can then, line things up so that the clashes don't work, or they do work for us. It should be the way we want to do it. And people can see what you guys have got in terms of your abilities. I know there's a pretty excited producer in my ear as well that is potentially going to be looking at not only the two of you, but some of the other guys that were involved in this competition for other events that is coming up. So EFX could be on the line to you as well, as they always are looking for new talent. And that's part and parcel of the whole deal we put together, yes, Dash?
Yeah, I think it's been terrific because it's really been a great initiative. The response has been wonderful. And hopefully, Greg, also, spurred a lot of other people on to sit there and say, man, you know what, sure, if those guys can do it, then maybe I should be able to do it. And get them excited about it and start honing their own skills and looking at these opportunities as well. That's the way that you've got to go about these things.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And of course, with this incredible plate final that we just had, it just shows that we're going to be in for probably a more epic grand final than we expected, Seth. We did have, of course, 6 competitors in there, well, 5 competitors, I should say, that were up for the Volkswagen Award. As I said, we're not going to mention who they are just yet because we still have another heat to go and there's still one more guy to make it through there too. But congratulations to those guys too for a possibility of getting that incredible award from Volkswagen Motorsport. But congratulations go out to provisionally right now. We're just waiting for official results to come up on our page and to be sent through to the production. But across the line, it was Brandon Kruger, Mitchell Lyson, and Rion Tennyson who were the top 3. If they don't get any penalties awarded and the COCs and stewards have worked out that their penalties are not valid, or if there are any queries to be held with those 3 drivers, that's all we're waiting for right now, Sash, before we can get them into the studio to have a quick chat about the race and how excited they've been. And the other thing, of course, is right now, the servers opened up for the grand final, so they've got a chance now to get out and do their qualifying.
Yeah, and you just got to hope that they don't have any mechanical or technical issues, so everyone can go out there and try and put a lap in. But yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to chatting to our top 3 podium finishers from the plate final, because there was some sterling racing. And, it got very, very close at one stage for the win. So interested to hear what Brandon Kruger has to say, as well as Mitchell Lyson. So I think what a great way to start the evening, Greg.
It certainly is. I think that's a good start. And, of course, hopefully we're going to keep everybody here and they don't have to sneak off to go and have a listen to that other guy that's chatting here this evening. To keep the entertainment here, rather, I don't think we need to worry too much about what's going to happen on that side. And possibly, as we've seen on the past, he might not be on time. So maybe we can get through our grand final before we have to listen to the president himself. But we are here to support what he's doing as well, Seth. So it deems attention.
Yeah, 100%, Greg. I mean, we are here, and of course, we are very proudly South African. But listen, on this side, you're going to have a lot more enjoyment and satisfaction than perhaps listening on the other side. You might get a little bit frustrated listening on that side.
No, exactly that. I think that's what the guys need to stay away from. Let's rather stay here with us. Don't go across that side. The frustration levels will just pick up and you'll have a terrible Sunday. Rather stick with us and let's make your Sunday, because we can probably even go better than the Sunday movie or that other show. What's it called? Carte Blanche or whatever. We are definitely got carte blanche in motorsport here.
I don't know. I mean, listen, this is the way that it is. And you know, on a Sunday night, Greg, if you think also in the real world, I mean, this afternoon we would have watched the Monaco Grand Prix and we'd be lining up for the Indy 500. So, I mean, you know, this is what we're missing. And what we have now is the Nordschleife Seagate Solidarity E-Race, which is looking to assist the Solidarity Fund and also highlight some spectacular racing drivers.
Well, it is, but another highlight we need to mention, and I'm glad you brought in the fact, and we could use that link, Sash, because we actually hit 55,000.
Congratulations to everybody who's gotten involved, our sponsors who have also donated to that cause as well, and all of our drivers, you know, from their entry fees, and everybody who's just made a donation. I think it's really, really special to be able to give at this very difficult time of our lives.
And you mentioned F1 and Indy 500. I would have tuned in probably for the Indy 500, and if Ferrari was on pole, I might have tuned in for F1. No, I'm only kidding. But the World Superbikes at Aragon, and we would have had national Superbikes. The NGK National Superbikes would have had their all bike day today today and yesterday at the Red Star Raceway. So we've missed out on a bit of action, but of course we're hoping that there's some positive stuff coming out of the president this evening that can move us forward and closer to going back to normal.
Yeah, very much so. You know, and it just shows us how hungry we are to get back to that kind of normality when it comes to our love of what, you know, of motorsport in general. But everybody is in this proverbial same boat, and everybody is a little bit frustrated by it. And then having this online sim racing just brings another element. I mean, I got a lovely comment here from Nikki Volmerans who's saying, I'm enjoying all the virtual racing, you know, and just bringing in new people, Greg, you know, as opposed to just your normal, you know, racing kind of people. It's wonderful to have so many different styles of life, lifestyles of people, male, female, coming on board and just loving watching this sim racing.
No, I can tell you right now, I've probably got about a 50-50 split that's going out on mine from ladies and gents watching on the Voice of Choice, and I think it's pretty much on a similar vein. But the cool thing is that we're also tapping into people all around the world, Sash. Last night we had people coming in on my page from Saudi Arabia, from Wales, from Ireland, from down under, and of course we've also got two gentlemen joining us either side. I'm not quite sure who's who yet. I'm going to go. The man on my side looks like a Brandon Kruger, and no, I'm joking. On your side, Brandon Kruger. And on my side, it's Rian Tennyson. We're going to go to Rian Tennyson first. That's our third place, man. $500 in your back sky there, Rian. How awesome does it feel, and how lekker was that race?
Yeah, no, that was really, really good. I enjoyed it. Lacked a bit of BMT, but it's the first time I'm in this rig doing this kind of thing. So I'm really happy with it.
Oh man, that's fabulous to hear, Rian. Congratulations, a great drive. You know, you say there a bit of BMT. I mean, when you get into a final, it's all to count. Tell us a little bit about the characteristics about that McLaren and how difficult it is to drive, or how easy.
Well, it's easier than the Porsche was last night. But I would have, if it was my choice, I would have done this final in the 235. Other than that, the car is good. The car is good. It loses traction pretty easily. And obviously you need to constantly be thinking about managing your battery, managing when you're going to deploy DRS, and it's extremely sensitive. But it's a fun car to drive.
From your side as well, Rian, before we go across to Brandon, have you enjoyed the experience here on Solidarity E-Race? And are you going to be coming back for more if we open up version 4 at some point?
Yeah, no, definitely. I've enjoyed every second of it. I've had family phoning, telling me they're watching. I've got buddies watching me. My dad, my mom, my dad constantly comes in to check on me. Oh, are you doing okay? How's the lap times? Take it slow. Just push a bit harder here. Watch your entry into that corner. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'll definitely be back.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Rian. Brilliant, brilliant stuff.
Thanks,
and there we go. On the podium.
Yeah, management will contact you. They'll get the money into your account as soon as we've got everything sorted out. But congratulations once again from our side. Moving across onto this side of the room. And of course, now to the man at the top of the podium. 2,000 Rand in the back sky there, which is not a bad way to end off a week's racing from your side, Mr. Kruger. But the first question I want to ask you before we go anywhere else is, how was the rivalry between you and your brother?
He's not actually my brother. We're friends and we do participate together, but we're not related at all.
Sure, well, there you go. We've been calling you brother all the way through this week. And now we get told, as you're on the podium, that we got it completely messed up. Great.
Oh, lovely. Brandon, that was a magnificent race by you. Well done. But there was one stage, you had about a 4.5 second gap over Mitchell Lyson. And then all of a sudden it got down to half a second. Did you make a mistake somewhere?
Yes, unfortunately I did. At the end of the back straight, when you go left over the hill and down into the dip, you get a little complex where you're supposed to slow down. I accidentally pressed my accelerator instead of my brake because I was having a mild heart attack while racing and leading. And I was going a bit too much speed and then touched the grass. And then, I did a little 180, managed to actually pull her into first gear and then drive off. And then Mitch was just right on my ass across the line,
Brand, from our side, it was great to see the action, and we kind of expected the gamers to be at the front end of the plate final, as they have been on majority of the events. But you did have a couple of real races thrown in. You've mentioned one of them, Mitchell Lyson, who we're hoping to get hold of soon as well, to come and bring into the studio. But how awesome is it for you to sort of have those real races? We haven't really had a chance to chat to either of you guys. And the real races versus the sim races, I think, is a rivalry that's starting to become a little bit more to the front end of the thought and the mind and the whole process on how you prepare yourself for these events.
Of course, real races, they do have the advantage of experience, especially when it comes to the oversteer of a car. As like with the Porsche 918, I was quite terrible in that car. And I think Mitch Lyson did finish quite well in the Porsche. It does certainly come into thought, like, how would I do in real racing? How would I have done if I actually were when I was a bit younger? But it's thing. For me, it's no difference whether it's a real racer or a sim racer. It's just the competition, having fun, participating. I'm not expecting to smash any records or beat anyone by a mile, but tonight was very hectic. I just told myself to focus, and I got the job done, thankfully.
Yeah, Brandon, I'm so glad you mentioned the word fun, because I think that is imperative when it comes to anything. In my philosophy of life is to have some fun. But Brandon, I want to know, when you made that mistake and you knew that Mitchell Lyson was right on there, it must change your whole dynamic of what you're doing. How do you get yourself refocused to get into that rhythm?
Literally just say, focus, Brandon, focus. Heart's pounding a little bit harder, but you just say, focus, Brandon. I'm steering here. I'm making sure I'm looking for my braking points. I'm looking for where I should accelerate. No understeer, no oversteer. Just making sure everything's nice and smooth, and just tell myself, focus, Brandon, focus. Obviously, my mind drifts to the prize. Obviously, I'm going to be excited and tell my mom and my friends, hey, I'm going to win. But I haven't won yet. It's still lap 3. So, yes, just tell yourself, focus, and at the end of the day, it will end up well.
Well done. Well done.
It certainly did. Well done. A great job there, Brandon Kruger, and, of course, Rian Tennyson. Thank you guys for joining us. It looks like, unfortunately, we haven't been able to get hold of Mitchell Lyson, Sash. But I can tell you that we have been able to get hold of a picture of what his race rig looks like. You are going to be blown away with what this guy and this young man has been playing in for the last couple of nights, and has ended up on the podium for our plate final, and possibly could have got into the grand final had he not made the mistake that he did last night in those closing stages. So if I can ask Brent just to pull that up and have a squiz at this piece of incredible machinery. There it is.
I tell you, it looks very comfortable though.
Yeah, I think he's got a couple of cushions built in there so that when he's doing long distance events and endurance events, he's got a comfortable seat to be in. But man alive, that looks a little bit worse for wear, I'd have to say, eh?
You know what? Whatever makes him comfortable and happy, and I suppose also, Greg, it also goes down to whatever your budget is. So well done to the young kid for a great second place there, and to of course to Rian and of course to Brandon. I think it was a sensational plate final, and the guys did an epic job out there.
It certainly did. Just running through that, of course, Brandon Kruger, congratulations to him for the win. Mitchell Lyson in second place, and third place going to Rian Tennyson. Those have been confirmed. And, of course, our management behind the scenes will be contacting those drivers in the week to ensure that they can get all that the prizes to them. And congratulations to all three. But as you can see, Sash, on track right now, we have got action already in the qualifying and the final part of the qualifying session now for the grand final.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Greg. I'm getting a little bit of butterflies over here. I'm feeling for the drivers out there. I think this is going to be an incredibly tense final. There's a lot of money up for grabs, but this is, winning is just what it's all about. If you've won a race, you are the champion. It's not really about anything else. And I think there are a good few drivers out there who've got the potential to go and win it.
Look at the time, Sash. 6:24 out of Jordan Sherritt. That is an incredible lap time. I mean, that's already 6 seconds quicker than the quickest lap we had in the plate final. And if I look at my times I've put up here, 6:24 would put him about third fastest ever around the times that I've got. Fastest, of course, being the 919 hybrid Porsche on a 5:19. The Volkswagen ID racer did a 6:05. The Rothmans Porsche 956 with Beloff in it did a 6:11. And Jordan Sherritt in this McLaren P1 is doing 6:24s. And will probably go even quicker in race pace. That's usually what happens.
Yeah, I mean, these times are extraordinary. And Familiaris, 1.4 seconds off the pace. He's on track at the moment. And he's down a little bit in the splits. Charles Wilkin up there as well. They will be looking at this and be a little bit concerned about Jordan Sherritt's pace compared to theirs. Ensign's just pumped in there into fifth place, but he's 6 seconds off the pace.
And now gone off the track and reset. So I think he wants to go and have one more go at it. There is enough time, Sash. We're only due to go racing at 6:30, or 7:30, I beg your pardon. But we've got about 12 minutes left of the session. So if Ulrich gets it all right and goes back out for one more chance, there's still a shot of him getting in there and putting, that's normally a lucky number for him. Gilbert Brummer in 8, Jason Absmeyer is in 9, Rob Whiting is in 10, Yuri Schwartz is in 11, and Ray Duggan in 12.
There we go. Julian Familiaris, a guy to watch out for this evening. He's going to be car number 13. Will it be lucky for him? Arno Fisaki, car number 14. Charles Wilkin, 15th. Byron Mitchell, 16th. Elton Rue in 17th. Watch out for him tonight. Lorenzo Gatti. I mean, this is Elton Bow, sorry. And Lorenzo Gatti. What a field we have. Dev Piazzamuso, 19, car number 19. And Leslie Olifant, car number 20. What a field final, Greg. Man, this is unbelievable drivers.
It certainly is. And of course, so look at Olifant now with car 20. He's sitting third place overall, only 1.5 seconds off. So 1.5 seconds off that time would still be a 25.5. It's just mind-blowing to think what these guys are doing in this McLaren. And we're watching Elton Bow at the moment. He's gone, of course, with the purple colours. That's the true race colours that he's playing around in. Remember, we do have Seagate green cars. We've got the NEC blue, Pure Storage orange, Data Sciences are in the white cars, and AfriHost are in the red ones. And of course, all these cars, as you can see, if you get an up-close and personal shot to them on a few occasions, which we do, courtesy of EFX, our production team, you'll see that the liveries include all our sponsors' livery and logos on those cars. So we've gone a little bit extra this time to give them a bit more mileage.
Yeah, I think it's also terrific that you can, bespoke your own vehicle and do its own signage. It's just wonderful what you can do with technology today. Alton Bow down on this lap. Well, he hasn't put any lap, but I mean, he's 15 seconds off the pace. His projected time is going to be 6:39. He's in 13th at the moment. So, and I saw him make a couple of mistakes a little earlier. His delta's down as well. So, yeah, he's going to have to really, really up it or try go for another lap as well. But Greg, this is now a 6-lap race. It completely changes everything that we've seen over the last 3 nights.
It certainly does, Sash. And of course, now you've got to take into account tyre wear could be a big factor here. And more importantly is, will they need to do a fuel stop at any point, or will these cars last at full pace around the circuit doing these kind of lap times on a tank of fuel? And is the tank of fuel, as we see Bo getting out of shape there properly, and slides all the way down the hill and into the barrier. He's not going to go back in this reset mode. He's decided to just spin it back out and continue the lap.
Yeah, hopefully he hasn't scrubbed those tires too badly, because he sort of touched the wall. Chris Langeveld has just gone up into 2nd position. I'm just I haven't got the time on my screen. 6:25.0, so just a second off Jordan Sherritt's time. So Sherritt may be looking at this, Greg, at the moment going, "Oi, these boys are a little closer." Oh, look at this, properly sideways from Charles Wilkin. But I think the Sherritt must be sitting and saying these boys are a lot closer than I thought they'd be.
Look at those times, Sash. They are very, very close. There's 9 seconds splitting the top 9 there, and over 20.83 Ks here at the Nordschleife. Means that there's a good possibility that they can catch up if anybody makes a mistake. And we've seen how vital it is not to make a mistake on this circuit, because the amount of time you lose and the ability to try and make it up. Okay, yes, it's been over 2 laps or 3 laps. Now with 6 laps, different story. Now there's a very good possibility that if you do make a mistake, there is enough time, beg your pardon, to come in or to get the repairs done and still get back out. If Jordan Sherritt, for instance, makes a mistake and he's doing 6:24s and everybody else is doing a second or quick or slower, he can make up that second every single time he laps the circuit. And over 20 Ks, of course, can probably catch up to where he was should there be a mistake. And that goes for all the drivers in this top 20.
Yeah, we're on with Charles Wilkin going a little bit quicker in his Delta sections. While that's happening on action, we have the official results of the plate final. So we're going to bring that up on your screen. There we go. Brandon Kruger, our winner of the plate final this evening in the Seagate Solidarity E-Race Nordschleife affair. Mitchell Lyson in 2nd place, 13 seconds down the road. Rion Tierneson. Woo, can you believe it? There was a penalty for Mitchell Lyson there, Greg, and he only by 0.04 of a second was ahead of Rion Tierneson.
400ths of a second between 2nd and 3rd place. Do you want it any closer than that, Sash?
Unbelievable. And then you've got to say Wesley Ferrand, Daniel Rowan, Zander Roots, Rowan Roots. Besides Kruger at the front, they're definitely in line, or their names got to be written down on a piece of paper as perhaps our potential drivers of the day.
Yeah, they're pretty much up there at this stage. I've got our 2 fellow commentators watching in the sidelines to give us a little bit of input into that competition. We've also got, of course, the stewards and our COC that are going to be giving us input, and management behind the scenes. We'll be making a call as to who we think the driver of the day is. So also, I think what we should do here, Sash, is let's throw it out there to everybody watching. Why don't we get a public vote in this as well? We've got so many guys watching us on the stream. We're going to say to you guys, okay, if you're watching us on the stream, and you have got your favorite driver and you think there's only he's, unfortunately, there was no she's this time. If he deserves the Driver of the Day award, we want you to put it up on one of the comments on each of the platforms. And we'll be checking those at the end of the race to see if any of them are valid. And you know what? What we'll do is we'll give a couple of these Solidarity E-Race caps that we've got left over to the guys who give us the greatest comments. And if your driver does win, we possibly get those caps to you as well.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Let's go back. Dewald Brummer, he's going a little bit quicker on this lap, but down in 11th position, or is actually up to 10th position now, is Dewald Brummer. I tell you, Greg, this is going to be something spectacular. You know, if you look at the plate final, Greg, there was a lot of jostling in the first couple of corners, first couple of kilometers. A lot of people made up places. A lot of people also lost places. This might be a little bit different depending on where the guys qualify. Because if you know, like a guy like Lorenzo Gautieri, if he qualifies in 6th, he knows he's quicker than that. I mean, what is his strategy going to be to try and make up positions to not allow someone like Jordan Sherritt to get away too easily?
Yes, indeed. One mention that we didn't put out there, and it's just been sent to me via WhatsApp. I failed to mention it, and I do apologize for that. But in the plate final there, he finished up in 15th place. Just to give a shout out there to one of our oldest competitors, as opposed to the youngsters that we're dealing with here, or the sort of middle-aged guys that are playing these games right now, all these simulators. Robbie Teams, 60 years old, and he finished up in 15th place in the plate final. Great job, buddy. Keep up the good work, and long may it rain that you stay with us here at Solidarity E-Race.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fabulous. The excitement over here, I tell you, Greg, I'm like, twitching my leg, doing everything, getting ready for this to happen. I mean, this is how I get about any kind of racing. And I'm so chuffed that I get that same kind of excitement with this sim racing. I really have loved it, and I'm so excited about this race this evening.
So we certainly have converted Martinengo into the sim world. And I know that he's probably going to be trying to get that rig of his set up so that he can go and do some PlayStation or Xbox. He might even be phoning young Martinengo and saying, listen, you better bring my Xbox or PlayStation back, because I've got an awesome opportunity now to set things up for a full rig in my house.
Yeah, I tell you, man, I could kick myself. I used to have this years ago, and I gave it all away. I'm like, can you believe it? I should be having it.
Yes, Ash, well, that's how it goes. But more importantly is that at least we've got you back into the world of sim. We certainly hope that everybody in the sim world has enjoyed the two of us coming to be part and parcel of their little arena that they play in. And no pun intended on that. But I think it's also quite crucial to mention the fact that we've brought in all forms and all sorts of celebrities, not only from the real world of racing, but celebrities from international events. You know, we had Jordan Pepper down under. We had Andrew Coley, the World Rallycross commentator, having a chat to us. We did try to get the queen of the ring, Sabine Schmitz, to join us. Unfortunately, as probably all of you know, and if you don't, you'll find out this evening, she has had a really torrid time with cancer. And we wish her all the very best here, of course, from the Solidarity E-Race. She definitely would have been keen to do something had she not been in as much pain as she's in. But hopefully the meds and the treatments are working, and we wish her a very speedy recovery. But how awesome would it have been to have her joining us like she did at Top Gear, Sash, when you and I were at Kyle Army for Top Gear Live?
Yeah, I mean, she's just such a lovely lady as well. And you'll notice on the Nordschleife as well, there's I love Sabine. You know, she is the true queen of Nordschleife. I mean, I think she's done more laps around there than anybody, probably everybody else combined. And we really wish her well in her recovery, and hope she recovers well, and hopefully we can chat to her in the near future.
Yeah, and if we do anything back at the Nordschleife, of course, the first phone call and first message I'm going to do is straight across to Sabine to say, listen, hopefully everything's gone according to plan and we can get you involved. Down the Audi straight now in these cars, Sash, what's the top end of these McLarens?
Listen, these guys will go into about 350 odd kilometers an hour. I don't think they'll achieve it down this long straight. They must probably get up to at least 325 Ks an hour, Greg. So, I mean, this is a serious piece of machinery. And at that kind of, well, there we go, 339 we saw there, 340 Ks. That's basically, you cannot believe how fast that is. And then you got to know exactly where to brake, because if you don't get it right, boy, it's going to hurt.
Yeah, it's going to hurt big time if you get it wrong. Yeah, that's for sure. But needless to say, these guys seem to be playing the game nicely. I wonder if we're going to see our good friend Gary Formaggio on the pit wall again, like we did down under and then at Kyle Army. He tends to get away. He gets in everywhere, doesn't he?
Oh, he's always around. Funny enough, I actually was chatting to him earlier today, and he's actually also really been enjoying this. It's amazing, Greg, also how many, they might not engage with us and say things, etc., but so many friends and, of course, racing drivers, from past and present, who have really taken on to this as well and are watching every single night.
Yeah, exactly. And that, I think, is the important factor, is to bring in the fact that we are bringing entertainment to people who are missing the real world of racing and any kind of sport. I mean, yes, there has been a little bit of lift-off and take-off here and there, but it's not the same way that we usually do things. And I think also what's important here, Sash, to bring in the production aspect that we've brought to the sim world and brought to social media here during lockdown is certain. Here, there's an example of how the glitch in the matrix can work just quickly while we're talking. But the going back to my point, the production level that we've brought to this Solidarity race, and all three versions of it, it's certainly getting the guys that are involved in motorsport, and particularly Motorsport South Africa and their track affiliates, looking at us going, okay, well, if we can't have crowds at our track, we certainly can do something on a live stream feed with a production company like EFX, with a team like ours, that can bring you all the action as we're doing right here, where there's no crowds literally in the stands other than the virtual ones that are put in there for aesthetics.
I'll tell you, Greg, how many times have I been sitting and talking to people and saying, guys, you're missing a trick over here, we should be doing this. Now all of a sudden they're going to wake up and think it's their idea. Well done. Listen, I got to tell you, Jordan Sherritt went 2 seconds quicker, but he actually didn't finish that lap. Charles Langeveld was 1.1 seconds up on his own time. So I tell you, Christo Langeveld is only about a second behind Jordan Sherritt,
well, if my maths is correct, and those guys are doing the speeds that you were talking about and the top ends that you're talking about, that means they're probably going to be lapping, and I could be completely wrong, and if I am, I apologize, but maybe the mathematicians that have got a little bit of an easier time and not have to worry about listening to Sash, watching what's happening on Facebook, watching what's happening on track, looking at the times. But I would say that's probably an average lap time of about 165 Ks an hour. Over 20 Ks, that is some serious hauling, dude.
That's unbelievably fast, and just the concentration, the speeds that you're going at. I mean, this is top class driving and drivers, and I mean, this is the top 20 that we've got in SA at the moment, and they're all taking part here this evening. So I think this is going to be one incredible race.
I've been dying to say this, and it's literally been on the tip of my tongue for so long during this week. But how awesome is it to sit next to Sasha Martiningo, arguably one of SA's finest DJs, and take you through, firstly, the top 40, and now we move in to the top 20.
I love that, Greg.
To say that.
That's amazing. I spent so many years doing a top 40 on 5FM years back with Ian. So, yeah, I mean, that's just wonderful. That's the chirp of the weekend.
Okay, so my maths was a little bit out there, Sash, by the looks of it. It's it's actually a 21.5K lap that they do, but we're going to work on 22 as rounding off. At a 6.2425 gives us 265. Am I right there, Brent?
207.
Sorry, 202.
202 kilometers. I mean, that is just frighteningly fast, Greg. I mean, it's incredible how fast that is around the circuit. In this incredible machinery, the McLaren P1 GTR 3.8 liter V8 twin turbo. It's got curves, it's got DRS. The guys are going to have to manage this very carefully. The one thing that I'm not sure of, Greg, and maybe the car comes out with slick tires. Are they running on slicks or semi-slicks? I'm assuming they're on slick tires.
I think they're on slick, Sash. I think the game allows them to run on slicks because it is classified as a race car. So one of the modifications that would classify it as a race car is the slick tire. It's what we do when we go sort of to a hill climb or a time attack event. If you are running on slick tires, it means that your car, no matter if it's a road-going car, would be classified as a race car because you've modified the amount of grip that's available by using that.
So, Greg, listen, they got 126 odd kilometers, if maybe a little bit more to do. These tires are going to be critical at the beginning of this race and at the end of the race. So just if we watch and somebody's maybe 10, 12 seconds down the road, don't think that that's the end of things. This is going to come down to the final 10 kilometers of this race.
Yeah, and certainly the way that they can manage those tires. Tire wear, as you said, is going to be a big factor. And looking at the way that they're going, if you're doing 202 Ks an hour around a 21.5 K circuit and averaging that 202, just take into account, and I wore this shirt specifically for a reason as well, because it is Mad Sunday. And of course, only a couple of weeks away, we would have been going to TT2. But at the Isle of Man, they are lapping a 60.5 K circuit in 216 kilometer an hour average lap time as the record around there. That's mind-blowing, guys.
Yeah, I mean, that in my opinion, is just madness. I cringe every time. I watch it without a doubt, but I sit there and cringe and just hope for everybody to be okay. That's just incredible madness.
More info coming in. The guys in the plate final and on our group are basically mentioning that tires were starting to go off in lap 3. So the final was 6 laps. It's going to be pretty interesting, I think. Hey? There's a lot to take into account here. If they push as hard as they did there, and of course those guys were pushing to the limit and beyond, and the tires started to go off, you're going to see maybe a kind of a change up in strategy with some of the top runners here, Sash, that they might not push it to the limit from the word go, so that they can try and retain some of that rubber for later on in the race.
Yeah, we're going to have to definitely watch the deltas of each of the laps and see. You know, the pole position is 6:22. You've got to take at least 10 seconds off that, if not more, for the guys to try and manage it. However, there could be other guys who go out bullish, Greg, and sit there and say, listen, I'm going for the long shot and drive as fast as I can for as long as I can and try and hold on. Yeah. However, it is going to be a factor from lap 4 onwards. We are going to see guys struggling. So who's going to manage their tires over this 6-lap race? It's going to be fascinating.
Well, I know that you guys have also got some awesome coverage on your page, XS, but just a shout out to a couple of guys that have joined us and some ladies. My cousin's just joined us all the way from Scotland. We've got some guys who've joined us from the Isle of Man as well, so a big welcome to them. And yet again, as we've got some more motorcyclists joining us here on The Voice of Choice. Big welcome to Uncle Pete Eckerold again, multiple SA champion in his own right, and brother to, of course, John, and loving all the action. And the comments are flying through here thick and fast. So before we go to the action, Sash, I'm sure you've got a couple of guys that have joined you too there that maybe need a little bit of a mention.
Yeah, I was just trying to go through some of the comments over here, Greg, and then all of a sudden I got 10 places with weird laws around the world. So clearly I pushed the wrong button somewhere along the line. But I'll get to my comments. But it's wonderful to see so many people engaging with us, having a lot of fun, and just enjoying it as much as we are. I think it's just so much excitement. Oh, we're ready to go.
We certainly are, and as they move down towards the start line, we are almost good to go here. It looks like it is Chris Langeveld, who's made it to the front end, or maybe even in second place by the looks of things. We're just waiting to see the exact lineup in terms of how they're going. But they are at the start point right now as they go past those trees. We are racing, and it is Langeveld who looks like he might have the drop there. No, he's into second place. Closing on, I would say on the back of the Current at the stage at the front. Langeveld with Familiaris fully front behind that. Rob Whiting's lost a little bit of ground, and look at the air time already from these guys. Wow, they're holding nothing back. Big air time as they came over the jump for the first time now. Terry Wilkin and Absmeyer were literally 3 McLaren P1s in the sky at the same time.
Well, I tell you, Greg, well, all of us sitting there saying maybe they'll go conservative and pace themselves. Not when you're a racing driver. You drop that lid, the red mist comes in, it's all about, oh, somebody go a little bit. Lorenzo Galtieri nearly losing it, but managing to hold on to his position. Lucky guy. I think it's actually
Absmeyer, that Seagate green part of his. I think he's gone with the Seagate green colours this time. But Absmeyer or Umpy off. If they're Yuri Swart or Jason Absmeyer getting a little bit squirrely as they came into that section for the first time, Sash. Look at them using the curves. Using those curves means you're going to damage tyres, guys. I don't know if these guys realise if they're going to hit those curves, it's exactly the same what would happen in a normal race car. They're going to take strain. But look how close it is. It's not a case of them getting away here, Stash. We got 10 cars within about 2 seconds of each other.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see. And if you look right at the back, Devin Leish's 2.3 seconds. Maybe he's playing a different game. Oh, all of a sudden he's picked up his pace. But this is Linus Stern. These are the top 20 drivers. And this is what we expect. They are going to push each other all the way. Tyres are going to be a massive factor towards the end of this race. I cannot wait as we going on board here with Christo Langeveld. He's only 6 tenths behind Jordan Sherritt. Sherritt in all of our other heats, Greg, by this stage, has already got about 2-second lead. So he's going to feel a little uncomfortable being pushed like this.
Yeah, you can see there, pushing it down into the bottom. Top 6 is split by 4 seconds. The top 15 are split by about 3.5 seconds. So there's hardly anything in it here, and it's a lot closer than what we expected. But I think that's also going to be the nature of the game here. They're starting to open up little margins right now as they're getting into their rhythm, and maybe all the sort of butterflies and the red mist has now come down. They're realizing they need to get away. But more importantly, Leslie Oliphant has lost out a little bit of ground there to Julian Familiaris. Gualtieri is closing in on him, and Charles Wilkin is not too far off the back end of that car of Gualtieri. Then you can see 0.3 to Absmeyer. Absmeyer is all over the back end there, looking for a way through on Wilkin. And look how tight it is just behind that. Insolent, Piazzamusso, and Van Rensburg all giving it absolute horns out there.
Yeah, there we go. On board with the Seagate. Jason Absmeyer is 2 tenths behind Charles Wilkin in front of him. He's the kind of driver, Greg, that he's going to have to make a pass in order to try and catch the guys in front of him. He's going to have to try and do something about Absmeyer, about Wilkin in front of him. Alaric Ensler dropped down a few spots after qualifying, but sitting there right in the back of Humphrey Swart. So action everywhere. Late on the brakes there was Alaric Ensler. Can he do anything into the carousel section of the circuit? Don't forget, they do have curves, they do have DRS as well. They're going to have to be strategic on when they use it.
That is such an awesome shot there. How's there about 6 or 7 different lines going through the carousel? Not one of them exactly the same as the other. All looking for that little advantage to try and use that curbing if they can. That didn't work out. But yet again, and going on what my good friend Carl Lawrence said last night, no expense spared in terms of getting us an aerial shot there with the hot air balloon above us too. It looks like we're going to be in for a bit of aerial material with these guys too if they keep up this kind of pace. There's no way they can run at this kind of pace for 6 laps, Dash. They are going to take strain on the tyres. And more importantly, keep an eye out on those fuel loads too. They're eating up juice by going at this rate pace.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to come down to some serious strategy as they get through, I think, the first 2 laps of this race. From there, they'll have an understanding of what the car is going to be doing. But, I mean, look at this. Humphrey Swart, he's got Ensler behind him, Piazzamusso behind that. And then they're further back. I mean, you've got Van Rensburg, Brummer, and Fasaki. It is just one after the other. I cannot wait until they get onto the long straight. It's going to be chaos. DRS at first.
DRS is going to come into play. There's a little jump that comes down. They're almost at the Audi straight right now. There's only a couple of corners to go. They're coming through that S-bend named after Stefan Veloff, because that's the man who holds the current lap record for a petrol-driven car. These are petrol-driven cars. Are we going to see the 611 beaten here tonight in race pace? Because that's, of course, the lap that would count. And in race pace, these cars are giving it. It's not in the background. Piazzamusso,
there's fast and furious action everywhere. This is only lap 1.
Yeah, Mahotti's pushing hard. We're only coming to the end of lap number 1. Jordan Sherritt probably going to be going across the line in a couple of seconds' time, because he's a little bit further up the road than what we're seeing right now with Brummer. There's Gualtieri starting to close in on the back end of Rob Whiting. There's the leading pack. The leading pack at this stage is probably split by about 5 seconds between those 6 cars. Gualtieri in 6th place, Whiting just ahead of him. And he's trying to close down there on the other Seagate green car there of Rob Whiting. Rob Whiting keeping it at bay. Sherritt has finished the first lap. He leads out over Chris Langeveld. And Ensler's got a problem. Ensler's into the pit. Ulrich Ensler into the pit. There must be an issue on that car. He may be going in. I wonder if he's going to go in and maybe change tyres and do some damage control. He goes past all of our safety cars there. Let's see what he does. He is going to do a pit stop. So that means there's something wrong on the car. You can see a little bit of damage on the windscreen. He's gone off somewhere there, Sash. You can see him resetting, trying to get everything sorted out. He probably won't worry about the windscreen. He'll probably just look to do bodywork damage, and maybe change the tires. Unfortunately, the app doesn't show us what he's actually physically doing, but certainly that might be a little bit of an unscheduled stop, and it may pay off in the end.
Yeah, it could be pretty tactical, although at the end of the first lap, I'm not entirely sure. As we get on with Julian Familiaris, he's 1.4 seconds down the road from Christo Langeveld and Olifant, Whiting, Galtieri. There's nothing between them. Rob Whiting right on the back of Leslie Olifant at present. Are we going to see a change of position? All of this, Greg, is giving Jordan Sherritt a little bit of a margin, and he can just pace himself from now.
He certainly can, and it's great to see that. But Rob Whiting, 6th gear, 307, 308 k's an hour as they came down. Then he drops down into 4th. Going to carry corner speed here of 3rd, about 140, 150 as they go through this little S chicane. It's at the top end of the circuit, heading towards the castle. It's at Colin Hard that they're making their way out right now. And then they start heading down the hill and all the way to Back, and of course to Klosterkopf. That brings them into the section that, of course, we've got a big crowd on the side and close to the little town there of Breckscheid, of course, which is all part and parcel of this whole complex at the Nordschleife.
There we go. Ulrich Ensslin, good news. He is back out on the track. He's 27 seconds down the road from Anton Bo. But I tell you, don't worry about him. He might have fresh rubber on his car as well. We're sticking with Rob Whiting. He's only 4 tenths behind Leslie Olifant, trying to do everything to get that car past. And then, of course, he can start chasing after Julian Familiaris.
Certainly can. Familiaris, though, is holding his own. He's not going to give up too much of space there to Olifant, although Olifant has bridged that gap and is now right underneath that rear wing and looking for a chance to close things down. Rob Whiting doing the same thing there to Olifant. So a 3-way battle for what is 3rd place, and just behind them comes Galtieri, who's about to join the party. Now, if you look at the way these guys are driving, it certainly shows as well that you've got the standard setup in these cars, which is probably bringing the playing field to a more level playing field compared to what we saw when we gave the sim racers a chance to do their own modifications, and the real racers weren't quite a fay on how to do all those setups and modifications that you can do in these games.
Yeah, very much so, Greg. Everyone sort of doing the whole thing. Oh, a little bit of a twitch there from Devin Piazzamusso. Visachi all over the back of him. This is a very difficult part of the circuit to overtake. He's really got to make sure he's got him very close in any opportunity that he has to try and dive down the inside. There's great driving from Arno Visachi at the moment. Looking at the deltas.
Yeah, Arno Visachi, just to let you know, Sash, he, of course, is probably in the running there for that Volkswagen Motorsport Academy drive, because he's the only one of the 14 to 24-year-olds that has made it through to this grand final. So I would say, sort of on default, that would put him as the best finisher in that category. And we're probably going to be able to get a chat to Mike Rowe later on and hand this young man, Arno Visachi, a chance of a lifetime to be part of the Volkswagen Motorsport Academy in 2021 with Mike Rowe and his team.
Oh, that's fantastic news. So Arno, focus, concentrate, try and get further up the field there. He's really pushing hard on Devin Piazzamusso. This is for 11th place. A couple of other things that I'm noticing at the moment. Yeah, it's just Visachi. Look at him all over the back of Devin Piazzamusso. We change over back to Rob Whiting. He's now lost a little bit of time, but he's just within a second of Leslie Olifant. And I tell you, he's pulling Lorenzo Galtieri. He's made up 4 tenths in that last sector there, Greg. So this is now going to be a massive battle for 4th place.
Yeah, it's kind of where the battle is at this stage, Stash. Although there are a couple a little bit further back, but of course this is the one that's going to count towards who's going to be possibly on the podium by the end of the day. And by the end of the next 4 laps of action. Incredibly, we're only on the 2nd lap, and it feels like we've been out there for ages. It's because we'd usually be coming to the end of the race right now. But it's lap 2 of 6. We're about halfway through that lap, and you can see, watch this. I love this shot. I pity that Brendan had to take a call there, because I couldn't even take a call, but in the background. I would have loved. Can we get a front shot of this section, Ben? Not this one. The one just before this on the next lap. Because they literally launch off the ground for about, I'd say, about a good half a second. There's a drop-in point there before they hit that right-hander. And, man, these cars get completely airborne.
Now, I tell you this, fast and frantic with what is going on here. Galtieri just behind Rob White. He's lost a little bit of time to early front. There we go, a little bit of a mistake there. I tell you, Absmar has lost. Absmar's not off the track there. He was under huge pressure from Ampie Swart, and he's created a mistake for himself. He's dropped down to 13th position. Ampie Swart now up in 8th position, and he was at a rapid pace. Oh, there we go. Absmar again, lots of damage from that car.
Now, we heard that earlier on from Carl and from GMAX, George Smith, saying that if these guys have got some issues and they do get damage on their cars, it's a long way back to pit lane, first of all. And I mean, in the words of what GMAX said, he says it's literally a loaded weapon that you're now trying to drive around at high speed because there's no more downforce, there's broken wings, and you don't have the same, as you can see, you just do not have the same ability. And you've got to try and get it back to pit lane, because if you do reset, it means that you're going to drop back at least a lap, and that will definitely not be able to be recovered over 6 laps.
Yeah, I tell you, he's got massive damage on that car, falling down all of the time. And I tell you, driving a car without any kind of downforce is going to be very, very difficult. Looks like Charles Wilkin has put in a massive lap at maybe the fastest, or I'm just getting purples on my screen over here. So they're just crossing the line. That's the end of only lap 2, Greg. Only lap 2.
Into lap 3 right now as we watch Charles Wilkin into the S-Pen. If you look just on the left-hand side on the next shot, you'll see a little board that says 3Ks to go. That was actually the official start there, just on the left-hand side there. The 3K board, that's where we can actually physically start the race, which we went under yellow and under safety until we get to that point, and now we get onto the short straight. Watch this as well, Sash. Down this straight, there's a little, watch here. Here we go. This is the air mode. You see it? Okay, no, he wasn't pushing as hard as what he did earlier on. But man, there's a bit of downforce more. Maybe he's playing around with those settings in the car. But that's one point where the cars get airborne. And then there's one just before they get onto the outing straight that we can see these cars literally all 4 wheels off the ground.
Tell you, Arno Versace is on a charge. He's catching Piazza Musa again. He really needs to make something stick over here. There's not a lot in it between any of the drivers, Greg. There's a bit of a gap, Jordan Sherrod, but after that, it's only 2 seconds. And if you sit there and think about it, they've still got about 100 kilometers still to drive on the same set of tires. Just to say, Absmar has gone into the pits, a reset, and he is out on the track again.
About 28 seconds there to Ulrich Ensign. He also had to pit. So interesting to see the 2 gamers, or 2 sim racers, going into pits early. One, I think, was unscheduled. Ulrich Ensign did not have to make that one, but went in case of emergency. Will that pay off for him later on? We'll wait to see. Jason Absmar, unfortunately, yet again, here in the Solidarity E-Race, has been plagued with another problem on the car. We saw in the first one of Kyle Army an issue with his steering wheel in his setup at home. Then another one of those at the Intercontinental Challenge, also with a similar setup. And then here today, a problem on track. He's had a little bit of a crash, damage on the car, and he had to go in. There was no other choice.
Well, I tell you, the guy to watch here is Ulrich Ensign in 19th place. We know he went in for that pit stop, but he's made up in this lap, Greg, over 23 seconds, because he's right behind Byron Mitchell now. So those new set of tires have definitely helped, and he's basically got 1 lap better tires than anybody else on the circuit. And the same will apply for Jason Absmar.
Yes, indeed. So we're going to have to wait and see how they go, Sash, because I think, as we mentioned right at the start, is there going to be enough time for them to make it back, or is there going to be any problems at the front? Right now, Jordan Sherrod has got absolutely no problem whatsoever. 4.5 seconds up the road. Absmar, ginger through here. That's not the Jason Absmar I know. That's not the man who would be putting it to the limit and going hell for leather. That's the kind of driving you would see normally out of Jason Absmar coming from Jordan Sherrod. So I think Absmar might be thinking to himself, yeah, you know what? This one's just not going to go my way.
Yeah, I tell you, this guy, Jordan Sherrod, has been the class of the field the whole of this entire event. He's in the Apri-Host colours, the red McLaren P1 GTR. He's 4.6 seconds ahead of Langeveld. And I'm just having a look here. Oliphant, Whiting's got ahead of Oliphant. And Galtieri now right on the back of Oliphant as well.
Well, I can tell you something, Sash. The important thing here is because he is in that Apri-Host red car. and the Afrios red colours will allow him to take first place if he finishes at the front end of the race by the end of the next 3.5 laps. That will give him the 12,000 Rand courtesy of Afrios. And if he's got the fibre availability in this area, he'll also be getting that 40,000 Rand worth of gig fibre line and router from them as well. So it would be pretty much poetic justice if he gets it all right there in the Afrios red colours.
Here we are. How do we satisfy our sponsors? Here we go. We've got Leslie Williamford coming up to the back of Rob Whiting. So can he do anything about it? Galtieri's lost a little bit of pace, but these three are going hammer and tongs. Whiting got ahead of Williamford. Now Williamford trying to fight back at him. And then, of course, Galtieri just 1.1 seconds down the road.
It's a tight battle there, Shaq. There's nothing in it between them. So I think it's going to be a little bit of fun and games to go. Evan Leisha, remember we saw him at the start of the race down in 19th place? Slowly but surely, picking one by one. Yeah, he done made a little mistake there in the data sciences white car. But slowly but surely making his way to the front. And one thing you've got to take into account, remember what happened down under. Leisha waited until right in the closing stages before found Total, but the youngest gamer out there looks like he's made a little bit of a mistake and he's pulled to the grass. I wonder if he's going to be able to get off the grass there and back onto the black stuff. He's taking it easy because he doesn't want to do damage to the car. And people will think this up, oh, come on, Greg, it's only a sim. No, you have to take it easy. You drive over that grass and break the splitter or break the wing or break something, and it looks like there's a bit of an issue there on the front. The tires are going to be dirty now.
Exactly, I'll tell you, he sat there stuck on the fast pedal a little bit too eagerly. He got some proper oversteer. The tires weren't warm enough, and so he got all of the debris from the grass as well. So he's going to have to just get himself locked in again. But he's lost a huge amount of time, 18 seconds now behind Brummer. And Jonathan Mafotsi chasing him and catching him at a rapid race. Here's Lorenzo Galtieri. He's still within that 1 second of Leslie Uripa. Doesn't seem to be able to get any closer. But these three guys going hammer and tongs as they finish the next lap. Wow.
4 of 6. So it's awesome to hear that not only are we looking after our sponsors on track, but the sponsors that joined us as well, with G4 Sim coming back in as well, which is great to see, and joining us again. And of course, they're the guys who are giving away that rig to the man earlier on, and there'll be Brandon Kruger who'll be getting that rig along with the 2,000 Rand there for the plate final. But we also got to mention that they are still giving one away on their Facebook page and via the link and post it on our Facebook page. So if you want to win one of those, you've got to comment on the race. You've then got to go and like and share their post on their page, like and share it on ours, comment on it, put your best friend's name in there, because you could possibly win one of those G-Force rigs.
Sure, I tell you, and I've got that G-Force rig here at home, Greg, and been sitting in it just drooling. I wish I could hook it up to something. It really is spectacular. You know what, if you're looking to have a rig, go and visit the guys. They'll give you a great discount, and they build a really, really world-class rig. So it's definitely something that you should be looking at. This is a guy to watch, Greg. Elric Ensler now is only finishing his lap now, but he's managed to pull up quite a few positions. I don't know if it's going to be enough for the next 3 laps.
The issue's got Sash is he's almost a minute and a couple of seconds off the pace of Sherritt. And as we saw with Sherritt, there was no issue on his car. He is plain sailing at 6 seconds up the road from Langeveld. Langeveld 3.5 seconds up from Familiaris. Whiting a further 2 seconds adrift on that. And then Olifant in 5. We're on board with Galtieri as he closes in on Olifant. So Leslie Olifant could be in a bit of a battle here. I think there could be a change up here for fifth place if Galtieri's got anything to do with it and he can find a way through. Hopefully he's got those special socks on tonight to give him the real feel on the pedal.
Sure, I tell you, now he's closer than ever, just 3/10 behind Leslie Olifant. He must be getting so frustrated just looking at the back gearbox and diffuser and massive wing of that P1 GTR in front of him. Going, let me get by. But Leslie Olifant not making any mistakes. Galtieri's going to have to find a way past him all on his own.
And he's trying to find one. He's looking left, he's looking right, he's trying to find those gaps. But as we've seen all week long, this is not the easiest track to find a way past on. There are certain areas where you can make those moves stick. If he's in the slipstream and he hasn't used that DRS, that's possibly a way to do it. But remember that the favour can be returned almost instantaneously down that straight because the slipstream effect is going to come into play. And if you haven't used the DRS, you can basically use it to get back into the slip and then catch up with a car that may have just passed you under the same pretense.
Yeah, we got Devin Leisha. Now he's really pushing really hard on Adrian Wood in front of him. Oh, there we go. Actually made that corner beautifully. And just in front of them, they got Devin Piazzamusso as well. Oh, he's got a great run here. But not a place to overtake. He seems so much quicker than Devin Leisha than Adrian Wood. Let's see if we can do anything over this very, very tricky section. Oh, hard on the brakes there. Man, his drive, his exit speed is so much better than that of Adrian Wood. Now he's got to try and pounce and get past and try and stretch those legs a little.
Now, the one thing we're going to take into account with him, of course, is has he managed his tyres better than anybody else? Because he started right at the back and he's just worked through systematically. And that might be working for him even better than anybody else. If he has managed those tyres nicely, it could be the reason why he's getting better drive out of the corners. Adrian Wood was in a bit of a battle earlier on with Piazzamusso and with Umpy, and those two might have just kicked their tyres even slightly more than what Devin Leach has been able to do.
Well, just having a look here, it looks like Absmeyer has retired from the race, unfortunately. Devin Leisha getting as close as possible. He's gotten past Wood, and that's fantastic. Devin Leisha has gotten past Adrian Wood. Now he's going to chase down Devin Piazzamusso. Maybe the first couple of kilometers on the circuit, Greg, where he was about seconds adrift, maybe just that, instead of burning those tyres up, has very much worked in his favour. Oh, he's got a mistake!
Runs wide out of the curving there in the carousel. That's a normal mistake to make. If you don't hit that carousel right and get the groove right, the car will automatically go over the top of that banking, and that's exactly what happened there. He just didn't get into the banking. He drops back again, and he is so close, but how's he drifting out of that corner to try and make up the ground? Oh! There's a big crash. I think that might have been Piazzamusso, or Woody. No, it's Woody, I think. It's Adrian Wood who's crashed out there. He made a massive mistake. And I think the pressure was starting to come there on Woody. You could see the guys closing in on him. And now, if you look at 10, 11, and 12th place, instead of having a double D battle, we've got a triple D battle there. You normally have to pay double for that kind of action, eh, Sash?
Unbelievable. Rob Waiting has just lost his place to Lorenzo Gautieri. So Gautieri, he's lost it to Ulifant and Gautieri. So big mistake there from Rob Waiting, because he's dropped 5 seconds down the road. Now we have got a real scrap, but Ulifant can't seem to do anything about Familiaris in front of him. This is Gautieri who's getting frustrated. He's been behind Ulifant since the start of this race, and he's been that close the whole time as well, but just cannot find a way past him.
Coming through the Beloff S now and into the Swallowtail, that's where they were. That leads them through the Dottinger Hof and coming onto the Audi straight now. Now, let's have a look at it. Fifth gear, watch for the click down any second. There's 6, engaging 6, 297, 300, 305, 310. It just keeps growing, 320. Are we going to get to the 350 mark there? These guys, you see him just holding off the flat pedal. He's not going pedal to the middle bit all the way. He's getting some feathering of the throttle there. It's not completely in the red. And then just swinging through, heading towards Goldstein. That's a great shot of our leader, Jordan Sherritt. And you can see just him coming up now on the back marker. Oh, he got caught out by the back marker. He got caught out on the brake by the back marker. Okay, sorry, I did say Sherritt on his name a couple of minutes ago, but then, of course, we looked at Gautieri. So it's actually Gautieri, apologies for that, but I thought we were on board there with Jordan Sherritt. On the bottom, it actually said Sherritt. Not a worries, we're now with Gautieri. And Gautieri heading towards that little jump. Maybe we'll see Lorenzo get a bit of airtime here.
Yeah, I tell you, Gautieri was right on it, but made a little bit of a mistake there. He was lucky to get away with very minimal time that he lost to Ulifant, but he'll be kicking himself. The two of them going flat out down the long straight on the rev limiter as well. Gautieri has only got 2 laps in order to try and pass Leslie Ulifant. Here we go. Ulrich Ensslin in 17th position, going down side by side with Duggan. There we go. Both of these cars going to be flat out. And who's going to be brave when it comes to the braking zone? 338 kilometers an hour. Great pass there from Ulrich Ensslin. Runs a little bit wide onto the grass, but manages to keep it together. And it looks as though Duggan just backed off a little bit there Didn't want to get involved in a tangle.
Yeah, Ulrich Enslin out there in the pure storage colours and doing a superb job of trying to recover after that pit stop, but now trying to close things down on Jonathan Mokgotsi, who's a couple of seconds up the road. In fact, almost 10 seconds up the road. So I don't know if Enslin is going to be able to make it up. It's only a lap or so to go in this one. In fact, 2 laps. We're on lap 5 of 60 with 1 to go. How's this battle starting to heat up? Terry and Olifant going at it for 4 and 5 on road and starting to slip and slide. The tyres are starting to come into play here, Sash. They're starting to get very worn and they're starting to do some four-wheel drifting out of the corner.
Without a doubt, you can see Leslie Olifant all over the track, and Galtieri couldn't do anything to dive down the inside. So both of them running on tyres that are at critical point. And this, Greg, I tell you, is going to allow Rob Whiting to come back at them because they're pushing so hard. Rob Whiting, he's still got any tyres left with about 20 kilometers to go, 1 lap to go. Might have a chance to come and pounce on these two. But Galtieri still can do nothing about Leslie Olifant. This has been terrific driving for both of these two.
Yeah, Nisha, I'm also watching. He's now 0.8 of Piazza Musa trying to find a way past. But Galtieri is certainly applying massive amounts of pressure there in the true race colours, closing onto the back end there of that Data Sciences car. And Olifant and Galtieri have put on a phenomenal show, there's no doubt. Familiaris up the road to the tune of 4.5 seconds, and it's another 4.5 to Langerfeld. And then it's 9 seconds up the road to Sherritt. Jordan Sherritt is piloting that Afro car to perfection. There is not an issue on that car at all. And I think there's going to be a big ask from somebody to try and close down on him now at this point in the race. If he's managed his tyres nicely, which I'm sure he has, he should be able to hang on. But how is this? This is Lisha. This is the one I was hoping we were going to go to. Devin Lisha now, only 0.7 of a second on the back end of Piazza Musso. Piazza Musso in those two race purple colours, looking for a chance now to keep out Lisha, a podium finisher down under at Mount Panorama only a couple of weekends ago.
Yeah, I tell you, just is terrific racing. Devin Lisha really pushing hard on Piazza Musa. Piazza Musa's been under pressure for most of this race from somebody, but I mean, he got a little bit ahead of a couple of the drivers earlier. But now he's really going to have to focus and make sure that he keeps that car on its line all of the time, because with the tyres going off here, if you get off that racing line, you could get yourself into a very squirty kind of position, and that's what you don't want with the power of these McLaren P1 GTRs. But Lisha closer than ever, 4/10 of a second. Can he do anything about Piazza Musso in front of him? Sure, with about 35 kilometers to go, Greg. Oh, look at that! Goes into the wall.
I was about to say that looks like it might have been an issue, and there was. I was about to say that it looks like there might have been an issue, and I think Piazza Musso might have had a bit of an issue, which caused Lisha to try and take evasive action. I was watching Piazza Musso's car. It seemed to get a little bit squirrely on its own, and I wondered if he was having some ping issues or some computer issues, because it certainly wasn't going through the corners as smoothly as what we see it now. Maybe a bit of internet interruption there as they come into the swallowtail. In fact, into the carousel, I beg your pardon. There might have been an internet issue there on Piazza Musso, which caused Devin Lisha to have to do that evasive move, because you could just see Piazza Musso's car getting a little bit out of shape, and Lisha went to avoid it.
Yeah, very unfortunate, but let's get back to Galtieri, 8/10 now behind Olifant. It goes between 4/10, 8/10, then it goes to 6/10, then it's 4/10, then it's 6/10. There's a really tough battle between these two guys. Rob Whiting can't seem to do anything and catch on to the back of these two. So this is very much a scrap for fourth place between Leslie Olifant and Lorenzo Galtieri. As they go, we go back to Raymond Duggan, right on the back of Jonathan Mokgotsi.
Another little battle we've been trying to get hold of.
Enslin behind him.
Yeah, and look at that, Enslin in tow now, having recovered, closing on the back end there of Jonathan Mokgotsi. This should be fun. Mokgotsi and Enslin have been at each other's throats all the way through each of the events that we've done so far in the Solidarity E-Races. And there's been a great rivalry between the two of them. Because remember, this is the man that won at Kyle Army in Ulrich Enslin, who's going on to test with the Universal Motorsport team as soon as we get out of lockdown, and possibly follow on the steps that Jonathan Mokgotsi has done, being a man who came from the sim world and is now the factory pilot for Volkswagen Motorsport.
Yeah, I mean, this is just terrific. So, I mean, the two of them won't be giving each other an inch over here. But I tell you, Enslin looks so much quicker than Mokgotsi. So, or Duggan. So there we go. He's going to dive down the inside. Oh, is he going to be able to make it stick? His tires don't have the grip, but Duggan just holds on. And Ensslin just closer and closer to getting past. And then he's going to have to chase down Jonathan Mokotsi.
Yeah.
Oh, big mistake there.
The pressure. Oh, the pressure got to him, and Duggan runs wide, and he goes into the kitty litter and loses big ground there to Ensslin. Now Ensslin can see up the road is Jonathan Mokotsi. And Mokotsi is really, really going to be concerned about who's on his tail. Leader has started his final lap, on lap 6 of 6. He's got to just keep all together now for another 20 odd Ks. And all that money for us goes, and that incredible power line, and Leader will be his by the end of this one.
Excuse me, I'm going to ask our director, Brendan, if he can get us onto Julian Familiaris. Because Familiaris from nowhere, Langeveld has made a massive mistake. And it's only 9/10 of a second. Here we go. We're going to get onto that action. Julian Familiaris now just a second behind Christo Langeveld. I think Langeveld will get his mojo back. But all of a sudden, this is for P2 of this race. Jordan Sherrod way out in front. Now, here we go. Let's see what Julian Familiaris can do. Anything about Christo Langeveld.
Well, Christopher Langeveld is in big trouble here because Familiaris can smell blood in the watings, and the NEC cutters now trying to close down there on Langeveld. Langeveld trying to hold him off. You can see the battle just behind that. It's also starting to rage and keeps on raging between Olifant and Gauthier. How close is it? You've got these two going at it. It's like arc racing here. They're going at it 2 by 2. Really amazing stuff. This is exactly what we've been expecting, and exactly what I expected to see happen at the end of this one. I didn't think anybody could match Sherrod's pace, so I didn't think he was really a factor. But everybody else in this sim race tonight is certainly a big factor and can still get podiums. Because if something happens here between Langeveld and Familiaris, Olifant and Gauthier are waiting to pounce.
Yeah, I tell you, they're not far down the track, so it all depends on what Olifant can do. And yeah, 3.5 seconds. But Gauthier must be the most frustrating driver. Oh, Piazza Musa's made a big mistake. He's let Tjabal Brummer get through. And that's up in the 11. And Leisha's got through as well. So he's up into 10th place. So Piazza Musa, the pressure getting to him as well. Can Gauthier do anything about Leslie Olifant? These two have been in it from the start of this race. And that was about 100 kilometers ago.
Yeah, and as we said that, it's about 16 laps of Kyle Army that they've done, but haven't listened to what we were talking about earlier on and go back to that talk. We said they were going to be taking it easy for the first couple of laps. And our two fellow commentators said, no, these guys will go at it no matter what. And if the tires go off, well, the tires go off. The tires are starting to go off. They've got less than half a lap to complete, and Gauthier has not given up the fight yet. Olifant is in for a run for his money here to the line.
Well, I tell you, he goes for it, he looks to the inside, not a place to overtake, but Gauthier, the closest he has been, he's trying to go around the outside. It's not going to stick at the moment. In front of him, Leslie Olifant holds on to that position, but Gauthier can smell that 4th position. Right now, I'm telling you, this is, look how close they are in our aerial shot here this evening over the Nordschleife. That's also very, very distracting, Greg, driving through the sun and the trees. Is he going to go for the inside? He's going to try and squeeze past him.
Oh, it's caught! He's going up the inside. He's got him. He's and finds the right pass, but he runs wide and really runs straight back at him. That is brilliant stuff. Stopping and changing. It's not done yet. They've got about 10.5 laps to go from here. And that battle just raged for about 2 or 3 corners. Chop change, and back to positions as they were.
That was unbelievable driving from both of those drivers to give each other the space. Brilliant from Leslie Olifant and Lorenzo Gauthier. But it's not over yet. That's for sure. It's still only half a second between the two of them. And this one's going to come down to that long straight, Greg. Oh, he's made a mistake.
Can you believe that? Oh, man, I'm going to say that little bag with what's that label on the side? Commentator's shirt. He brought it. Tonight. It's right next to him, next to that people sim rig that he's got there. Sorry about that.
Exactly.
It's not over. Going on to the latter part of this race. Have a look and see. This is the part I want to see. a shot, Brent, please. Here it comes. Oh, he didn't even. Oh, he just rolled out of it slightly. They normally don't put that little drop in there. No, but it's all good. We're going to see this man. Yeah, watch this. Here it comes. Oh, no, we're not seeing it. He's kind of taking it easy to get to the end of the lap here, I think, Sash, and make sure that he finishes up at the top of the podium.
I tell you, this has been a magnificent drive, a magnificent event from Jordan Shed. And he's actually on the 6th lap with those worn tyres, Greg. He's actually going 6/10 quicker on this lap than he has on any other lap. What an unbelievable drive from this guy.
He's been the class of the field all week long, Sash. Literally on every second session, he's been at the front end or the top driver, because he finished up at the front of the hot lap qualifiers in the BMW N235i. He's already got $1,000 in his back pocket for that, and he's now on the Audi straight. He knows there is less than 3 Ks to go here, and he rolls in with no issues whatsoever. Literally a start to finish victory here for Jordan Sherritt.
Yeah, it's been a superb drive. He's controlled it from the front. He had some pressure from Langeveld for the first maybe about 10 or 12 kilometers, and then managed to just ease himself out. He's really been so calculated, hasn't missed any of his markers, and now he's going to go on to win the Seagate Solidarity E-Race Final. Congratulations to our winner, Jordan Sherritt.
Jordan Sherritt takes the win there. He also takes that incredible prize. And there we go. With the winners, no the spoils. Let's get some burnouts going out there. Just be aware there might be some other cars coming through there. And if you do see them crashing into each other, it's kind of what happens in the sim world. Second place coming to the line now is Christopher Langeveld. He's had a phenomenal day there in the Data Sciences car. It's Afri Host up front that takes the victory in the red colours. It's Data Sciences in the white colours for second place. And just behind that, it is the NEC blue of Julian Familiaris. Here comes Olifant. He's crossed the line, and Gualtieri did recover to finish up in the top 5. I've got to say, Sash, the pressure that was applied on Leslie Olifant right from the word go until the end could potentially put him. Oh, what is going on here with Doug? It's interesting as a show of note at the end. But let me go back to my thoughts. The amount of pressure that Leslie Olifant soaked up for 6 laps could put him into the running, I think, for the driver of the day.
Yeah, Greg, without a doubt, that was superb driving from both of them. But Leslie Olifant is definitely one that's on my list here as well. So I think it's going to be a tough call as to who we decide on driver of the day. Here we go, right at the end. Here's Mahotsi trying to get past Byron Mitchell. They only got a couple of corners to go. Is he going to go for a dive?
No. It's Byron Mitchell. They've still got to go down the straight. They're not quite in there. They're into the swallowtail. This is the little carousel as they come out of that one. And now heading through the Ballot S. And it's not over yet. We've still got 2 cars to bring to the line. Hopefully we stay with this action right to the end, because it's not done with it needs to. It is proper good between the two of them. Mahotsi and Byron Mitchell going at it here big time.
This is going to be amazing. Verstappen's just finished 14th. Ensler just finished 15th. But this is... Oh, Mahotsi's lost a little bit of time down this long straight. Will he be able to do anything with the DRS?
Which is the button he engages the DRS. He is closing, but I think there was still the DRS engaged there as well from Mitchell. So Mitchell might be able to help him. Here he comes under braking, though, into the Bullstein Bridge. He closes right up. There's about 3 corners to go here. And as they come under braking, watch Mahotsi go for the 2 or die. I expect that from him. Nothing but that from Jonathan Mahotsi, but he has no room to play. And it looks like Mitchell's going to hang on. No, he's not!
Oh, no,
that is proper good. That's the way to finish Solidarity E-Race. Jonathan Mahotsi, proper great action there, boy. Love it!
Yeah, rubbing his racing. That was fabulous stuff.
What a shot. That was amazing. That was amazing.
Oh, fantastic.
That's what it's all about, brother. That is why we came back for more.
Oh, it's just brilliant. What a fabulous race, right down to the end. Always, racing up to like 18th position. So just incredible stuff there. Brilliant 6 laps. I must say, Greg, I thought the tyres were going to go off a little bit more than what they did, but I think we'll find out from the drivers. I think it's actually their race control that makes it look a lot easier than it was.
No, for sure. And I mean, if you just take into account the action we saw right the way through, I know that our team's working in the background now just to give us the official results and make sure that there is no discrepancies for those top three. So unofficially right now, we've got Sherritt, Langeveld, and Familiaris, but I don't think any of them were involved in any antics or need for concern from our COC or our stewards. So that potentially could stay as is. We've got a little bit to play around with, of course, in the mid-pack where there was a couple of bumps and barges and bits and pieces to sort out. And then, of course, I'm going to be asking them to send us their nominations between yourself, myself, the other two commentators, and our background technical team for the potential driver of the day. I've already got management's call on that one. The team from Supercar Lifestyle have already sent me their potential driver of the day, and I'm going to run with what Ross sent me there. So it's kind of on the same line as what we were thinking there, Sash, Leslie Oliphant. But of course, you were involved in the first final, the plate final, and there was one or two drivers up for grabs there as well.
Yeah, I think Daniel Rowan's under Roots were terrific in that plate final as well. I think they both drove superbly, coming from the back of the grid all the way up, I think, to 5th and 6th. So, they are definitely contenders. Leslie Oliphant's definitely a contender in my eyes. And then, of course, also Jordan Sherritt. He has not put a wheel wrong this whole 5 or 6 days. He's been the class of the field. And, he's won everything that he's raced in.
Yes, he has. And look, the cool thing about that is there is a very good potential that he would be up there as well. It's not our call to make. We're going to, of course, have an input in that. And, of course, you've got your driver, I've got mine. We'll play around with everybody else's that's coming through that we'll look at. And, of course, the guy who gets the most votes will be deemed the driver of the day. And that driver of the day, pending their fiber capabilities and, of course, their fiber availability, will also be getting about 20 grand's worth of LTE router and an upline that gives you 300 gigabytes. That's just mentally fast. I mean, the first one we gave away to Zaire, he put a post up about 2 days later when it was installed by AfriHost, and people were going, what? You've got 800 up and 750 down. What is that all about? I've never heard of this.
Listen, it's one of those where the speed is so fast, they're already at the end of our broadcast, Greg.
Exactly. That's how quick it goes with our guys that are behind us here. But
man, that was
Sash, what we can do is, and I'm hoping that Brenna's got these slides available. We'll, of course, just go run through them. But we do have a couple of prizes that we can run through while we're waiting for those official results to come through. And our drivers, of course, to log in to the VMix call. First of all, we have given away 2,000 Rand and that incredible GeForce Sim rig that's sitting alongside you. That, of course, went to Brandon Kruger for the plate final win. Mitchell Larson will get himself 1,000 Rand. And Rion Tennyson gets himself $500, which is brilliant. Then our two commentators will be sharing the 3,000 Rand prize money. So it's $1,500 a piece to them. And the mentorship with yours truly, and of course a little bit of time spent with you as well on some occasions when we get together for events that both you and I are at. Yesterday, we mentioned the fact that Jordan Sherritt had already taken the Hot Lap qualifier top position, and he gets himself 1,000 Rand for that, courtesy of AfriHost. All the cash prizes, of course, are given out courtesy of AfriHost. And it's awesome to see that they are behind it, as well as putting in some prize money towards the event too. But we'll get to those in a few minutes' time. I'm not quite sure if anybody's dialed in just yet, Bren. I just wanted to keep an eye out for possibly for Mike Rowe. And hopefully he's good. I'm going to just send him a message as well there, Sash. But we've also got, of course, the lucky draw, which was done earlier today for the Wink hamper, the Wink Promotions hamper. And a big thanks for Paul Dreyer. I think he's been watching all the time with us too. He hasn't left, if I'm not mistaken. He's still here. So Paul Dreyer and the team from Wink Promotions, yet again, another 3,500 Rand hamper from them. It's a promotional hamper. It gives you a cooler bag, some coffee mugs, some travel water bottles. There's bits and pieces inside as well, including a smart device charger and all the little bits and pieces that they throw into that as well. And he'll get in touch with the lucky winner, Darren Peens. He's the man who's taken that one. So congratulations.
Yeah, Greg, it's just wonderful to have all of these prizes from all of our sponsors for everybody. You just in a way wish you could give prizes to everybody, but it's just wonderful that we do have this opportunity. Besides the cash, that the guys will win. But everything else that's associated, the promotional hamper, the G-Force racing sim setup for guys, it's wonderful. And thank you to everybody, all of our sponsors who have been so generous with this event, and keep it coming, because it's always great, and it's always great to give those superstars some kind of reward.
It is indeed. I'm just trying to get hold of Mike Rowe as well. I can see him just sending me messages at the same time. Another, of course, prize to give away. We'll be getting into that in a few minutes' time too. Will be the Volkswagen Motorsport Academy prize, which is going to be going by default to incredibly Anu Pasaki, 21-year-old who fits into the bracket of 14 to 24, which is we're looking at. He is the top gamer to finish up this evening, so it doesn't go to our official racing drivers that are already involved in the world of motorsport. We want to try and get new blood into the sport, and that's the reason we approached Volkswagen Motorsport, and a big thanks to them. But I'm just sending him a message as we speak as well, because I think he might be on iPhone, and if he is listening in, Mike, if you're on iPhone, don't log in via, what is it, Brendan, in my ear, if you can? Yeah, don't come in via Safari if you can as your internet browser, please, Mike. If you wouldn't mind joining us via Google Chrome, it'll make it easier. So if you do hear this, hopefully you can dial in. I have sent him the code, and we can possibly get him in here to have a quick chat about the Volkswagen Motorsport Academy.
Make your life a little bit easier, Mike. Just get yourself an Android. Just so much easier. But Greg, I'm so excited for Arno Fasaki, another person, together with Ulrich Enselin as well, who are going to have this opportunity to go in and drive a race car coming from the sim world. I think it's just wonderful, and hopefully they're going to really love the experience. And you never know, could be new talent on our racetracks as well.
Yeah, what happens is it's slightly different to the Universal Motorsport prize that Ulrich won. Ulrich is going to do an official test with that Polo Cup team, the Utiga Polo Cup, and Universal Motorsport, Dr. Jan Pretorius and his team giving us that opportunity for Ulrich after the Kyle Army event. But what happens with the Volkswagen Motorsport Academy, and hopefully we can get Mike in. He is having some kind of issue there, and it says it's having a bit of a block on his phone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just forward Brendan his number, and maybe Brendan can just call him offline. But going into the prize that Volkswagen Motorsport are going to provide, Volkswagen Motorsport basically run that academy that takes a new driver or a potential new driver through the whole rigmarole of becoming a race driver. So it's not only learning to drive the car, it's also learning about the PR, how to handle the media, the training aspects, the mental game, everything that's involved in motorsport is taken through that Volkswagen Motorsport Academy.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful prize for anybody, and I'm sure he's going to thoroughly enjoy the experience.
No doubt about it. Let's just see if I can get that number across to Brent quickly, and hopefully.
All right, now we've got Julian Familiaris.
Yeah.
Hey, Julian, congratulations. Great drive there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. How did you enjoy that? Tell me, tell us a little bit about your race.
It was tiring. Took a lot of concentration on that one. It was a lot of preparation for the race. The car was just fun, but it could catch out at any moment. So, it took a lot to run with these guys. These guys had serious pace. Sherrod he's been in a league of his own the whole event. So, hats off to him. Well deserved, and I think he took the victory as everyone expected. Christopher Langeveld kept it together. We actually both made a mistake on second last lap, and kind of balanced things out. So favored each other on that. So just happy to have finished, got the car to the end, and luckily took third place. So really happy.
Jules, from our side, you've been involved now for all three of the events, and I think you've enjoyed yourself tremendously over the three events. Which has been your favorite? I know you've got onto the podium, so of course winning some Tom is certainly the way to go. But do you like the format that we've gone with, where there's a complete change every single time?
Of course. Look, the first Solidarity that you guys ran with was obviously just new to everyone, and it was a successful event right out the bat. So we enjoyed that one, and then Solidarity 2 obviously was based on the first one. So again, another successful event. But coming into this third one, with the setups being fixed and having numerous races, and it was a lot harder to make it into the finals this time. But also gave every driver an even chance at making it there, due to fixed setup. So, couldn't be more pleased. And thank you very much to all of the organizers for the event. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, wonderful, Julian. Just tell us a little bit about. Over all of the races until the final, you only raced over 2 laps. Now you raced over the 6 laps. Did it have quite a big factor when it came to the tires? Because that was the one thing we were concerned about.
Yeah. So the McLaren P1, as you've seen, is quite a stiff car. So it likes to jump around, especially over crests. And I felt the car over the first 4 laps was quite stable to a point. But the last 2 laps is where it starts getting a bit tricky. So as you could see from myself and Chris, that's where the mistake came in on lap 5. We were both lucky to get away with it. But the concentration level, I think, going from 2 laps into 6 was, it sounds small, but at a track so long, it really took its toll. So hats off to all the guys who got the car to the end.
Yeah, well done. Super drive.
Thank you very much, man.
Yeah, congratulations once again, Jules. It's 3,500 Rand coming your way, and the management will get hold of you during the week to get that into your account, courtesy of AfriHost, our cash sponsor this evening. If we're going to do another one, are you coming back for more?
Most definitely. I'm in for all of them.
Brilliant.
Lovely to hear.
Jules, before you go, are you itching to get back into that beast of a V8 that you've got sitting in your garage as well? I'm sure you are.
Of course, as good as this does it, keeps us busy and, it gives us that fix and keeps us sharp. It's still not the real thing for us, but, we just have to see how things go in these times, and hopefully things get back to normal soon and we can return to racing that V8. So, yeah.
Can't wait to see you back in the Mobile 1 V8s, buddy. Well done tonight, and congratulations for all the effort that you put in every single event. We hope to see you back again, and from our side, keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Sasha.
Yeah, there we go. Good luck. Wonderful. And just Greg, if you, just listening to me, that was a tough race. But you could see he thoroughly enjoyed it.
No, I think I think these drivers have been pushed a little bit harder than what we have. Pushed them for a long, long time. Just coming in while we're waiting for our next interview, just giving you an indication, not only do we have Isle of Man, Scotland, UK, Saudi Arabia, but Harare in Zimbabwe have just joined us as well, with Sean White's sister-in-law, Hazel, joining us on our feed too. Looks like we've got Chris Langeveld on the sideline too. Chris, big welcome to the EFX studio. Oh, I like the beanie, bud. You're right down my alley with that monster beating on, but keep up the good work. We can keep you on all night if that's how you're going to be, but keep it coming.
No, definitely, man.
Chris, that was a fantastic drive by you. You did make one mistake. I thought maybe you were going to get Jules to get through you, but besides that, you pushed from the start.
Yeah, that last lap I tried to ease off, because I knew I wouldn't catch Jordan because he was mental. And then I just clipped the curb and the car just spun me around. And I had 10 seconds, so just after the straight, I had to slow down for 10 seconds and not let Julian pass me. So it was quite difficult.
Fantastic. Well, I can tell you, we were suitably impressed with the action that came out of this evening's race. We didn't quite expect it to be as sort of door banging and mirrors flying. It was kind of like watching the Polo Cup, to be honest, but in P1 McLarens as opposed to in the Polo GTIs. What's it like to be sitting where you are right now and being so up close and personal to the drivers that are around you, even though they're not actually physically next to you?
Yeah, it is difficult because, you can do any normal online race and you don't get the same stress. The adrenaline keeps pumping. So it's quite easy to mistake, especially in the P1, because the car is quite stiff. So every input you have to calculate it. And even when my practice, I couldn't string laps together. I always made mistakes or it was really difficult.
Chris, when you had your little off, and did you expect to have some kind of car damage? Were you concerned about that? How did the car actually react after your off?
So when I went back on the tracks, I think my right rear was overheated. So I had to nurse the first few corners. Otherwise, I would have gone off again. And that's what made it difficult when Julian came, because I didn't know if I had damage. So I had to like really go slow to see if the car was turning and not over. But luckily it was good.
Well, we loved all the action that you gave us, and we want more of the same, Chris. If we go for episode 4 of the Solidarity E-Race, if we're staying in lockdown, I haven't quite found out what the call from the president is, other than one post that came through on almost every single one of my platforms saying, yes, we can buy booze again, but we can't buy cigarettes.
Oh, we can't wait for that.
Wonderful. Chris, that was a superb effort, and we hope to see you racing in the Sims again if we do another event.
We'll do it. Thanks, guys.
Well
Brilliant
done.
stuff, Chris Lagerfeld. Great. Congratulations, buddy. That is 7,000 Rand cash and a 3,500 Rand Seagate Fire CUDA drive coming your way, bud. If you think you're going to be fast on your uptake and your download right now, get that Fire CUDA drive from Seagate. You're going to change your whole outlook in gaming.
Hopefully it will prove the top.
All the very best. We'll see you soon, bud. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks, man. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so we move on from number 2 up to the top step of the podium. I've been dying to get this Oak on camera. I haven't seen him for ages. And I can tell you right now, I am reveling in the questions I'm about to ask Jordan Sherritt. Number 1 tonight, Jordan Sherritt. Congratulations, buddy.
Thanks so much, Greg and Sasha. You guys put on a great show for us drivers. From the start to the end, it was absolutely incredible. I mean, I love being part of this whole event. And of course, I managed to obviously get it at the end. It took a lot of hard work, I must say, because Chris and Julian are super, super fast. So I had my work cut out for me. But yeah, luckily I had it in the end.
Jordan, I got to say, just watching you over this whole event, you have been clinical, you have been precise, you have been super fast as well. I really think you need to go to the Nordschleife in a real car, because I think you can really tame that beast.
But that track is really, really, really difficult. To put one lap together takes a shitload of confidence, excuse my language, but like that's what it really takes to go fast around here. And I mean, you actually cannot take your eyes off the road, otherwise you will go off. It's literally so hard. So yeah, I mean, I would love to go there in real life, but hopefully one day.
Yeah, it was superb drive.
You have spent a bit of time overseas with single seaters and with karting. Just give us a little bit of the experience that you've had, and did that come into play tonight?
Yeah, you know, like obviously Formula 4 and that, it's a bit of a different driving style. Lots of understeer, where this is like lots and lots of power. So it's kind of like the opposite. You're kind of counteracting a oversteer all the time. So, luckily we have like TC in this car, so it kind of stops the oversteer. So we can use that like a tiny bit, and as well as ABS. So it's a bit different where in the Formula 4 car you don't have TC or you don't have ABS. So you just literally balls to the wall and basically feeling everything as you drive.
Like a real racer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan, riding out in the front there. I mean, you didn't have issues to use DRS, but how did you manage using the KERS? Did you use the KERS?
Well, throughout the lap, so basically the first 2 laps, I was all the way foot flat, like no, obviously harvesting the power. And then eventually on the 3rd lap, I started doing it through all the slow sections. So as I go into the corner, I go into like harvest, and then as I come out, I'll go back into full power. And I'll do that like simultaneously throughout the whole lap, just so I can have like enough power down the back straight. Because I mean, you can lose like 2.5 seconds without KERS down the back straight. So that really makes a big difference, and you better like harvest it properly. And I think maybe that's what actually played to my advantage, because I really had that dialed in.
Yeah, superb drive.
I'm sure you're pretty excited to find out that not only do you take the 1,000 Rand for the fastest hot lap qualifier, but you're going to add another 12 to that as the winner of the grand final of Seagate Gaming Solidarity E-Race here, the Nordschleife affair. And I'm hoping that you've got great fiber availability in your area, Because if you
Most
do,
definitely.
you're getting a further 20,000 rands worth of dig up and router courtesy of AfriHost. That's a proper good prize, boy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I can't believe it, actually. I mean, most real racing, you don't get prizes like this. So, like, to get something like this in e-racing is very, very incredible. And I can't thank you guys enough, and the sponsors. I mean, you guys put on a great event, and I can't wait to be part of many more.
I've got to say, Jordan, we just got some stats on you. 99.72% consistency rate. I was just in awe watching you in all of the different cars around this track. I mean, it's just been wonderful to watch. Maybe when I grow up, maybe I could be able to drive like you.
Well, you know what, Greg? I was watching that first episode, and you guys said I have BMT, so I had to prove you guys wrong properly this time, in which hopefully I did.
I love it. Yes, I'm glad you took it to heart, boy. I'm glad you took
I was
it to heart.
actually going to message you guys. I was actually going to message you guys, but then I was told, like, hey, you know, rather just keep quiet, play it cool, play by the rules, and just
And
get
do
it
it on the
done.
track.
And exactly.
I know you have done a superb job. You have silenced any critic you might have ever had.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, that's funny.
Very proud moment for me as well, buddy, because, you know, we've been involved from a commentary racer point of view for a long time, and it's good to see you stepping it up and doing an incredible job, not only on the tracks around the world, but also now on the e-racing world that we have generated here, courtesy of Seagate Academy and all our associate sponsors. So, Geordie, congratulations once again. We're going to ask you to step down and enjoy the spoils, and hopefully we get that AfriHost line to you as soon as possible, and you can go even quicker.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, well done.
Awesome stuff there. Well, that's Jordan Sherritt, your winner from the grand final, Sash. We've been through the top three there. We've spoken to Julian, to Chris, and to Jordan. But now standing by on the wayside is, of course, the big boss man from Volkswagen Motorsport. And it was a late call, I know, but it's always a late call, and these little things come to me relatively late in the day. But Michael Rowe knows me that way, and he knows that I'm going to try and give him as much exposure for this absolutely incredible prize that you've given us, Mike. Welcome to Solidarity E-Race from both Sasha and I.
Thanks, Greg. It's great to be chatting to you. Strange to be talking to you on the phone. We're normally talking to each other at the racetrack, but certainly you guys have done a great job.
Mark Daniel's been involved in the racing. Oh, sorry, Sash, go ahead.
No, I just hope we haven't lost Mike. It sounded like he clicked off. But Mike, just wonderful to have Volkswagen, you know, not only on the track, but also off the track now in the sim world, and offering the opportunity to young racers. You know, Volkswagen always the leader when it comes to motorsport in South Africa.
It looks like we might have lost him there as well, Sash. We'll get Brendan to try and get him back on. We are going to try and get, of course, the winner of that prize to join us too. So, Mike, if you can hear us via the stream, just log back in and out again, and we can pick it up one more time. Unless we have been able to pick him up again, Brendan, I'm not quite sure. I can't hear anything in my ear though, and we'll wait. There he is. He's back again.
Sorry, back with you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
What went wrong?
Mike, just to throw my question to you again. So amazing to see Volkswagen, never mind on the track, but off the track, and now getting involved in the sim racing world and offering the opportunity to a sim racer. I mean, Volkswagen, as always, the leader when it comes to motorsport in South Africa.
Yeah, look, I think we've tried to stay involved, certainly with our academy and getting youngsters involved, and I think Jonathan Mokhotsi, who was in this race, is now driving for us. And he comes from the gaming world, so what better place to start with some races? In fact, Julian and Lorenzo both have been on our Motorsport Academy, so I think it's a very valuable prize for anybody.
I certainly think so, and I have to admit that having seen what you guys do and the rigorous course that you put these guys through so that they can prepare themselves for the world of real motorsport, Mike, is definitely something that I think any driver should potentially look at, no matter what manufacturer you're involved in or that you want to be involved in at some point. to go through this academy and to learn sort of the grassroots and important things about motorsport is crucial.
Indeed, and I think it's important for us to also know who are the real motorsports here. We've got so many enthusiasts that are not necessarily coming to the racetrack, but we see them now racing on simulators. So at least we know who they are, and we can go out and get them to the racetrack now.
Mike, it must be pretty frustrating, as it is for anybody who loves motorsport, not being able to get out onto the tracks. Is there any inside information that you might have as to maybe when you guys can go out testing and racing at all?
Look, I think at this stage it's a bit unclear as to from a social events point of view. I see there are some new with level 3 being introduced from the 1st of June. There are some new regulations around sporting events, but I think we're still going to be challenged for a few months to come. And I don't, it is a worry for us not to be able to get to the racetracks and test our cars. But we're hopeful that we'll still get to race this year. Let's see what happens. I think we also have to be mindful of the safety and health of our competitors and our sponsors and our spectators. So let's just see what is possible.
Well, Mike, it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to a young man who has now qualified for this incredible prize. He's on the other side of our screen, as you can see here in our EFX virtual studio. A big welcome to Arno Verstappen. Arno, there's the man you're going to be spending probably about 3 or 4 days with when you make your way in 2021 to Volkswagen Motorsports Academy.
Hi, Arno. Welcome.
Yeah, Arno, I've got to say there was a superb drive from you. How excited are you from the sim world to go into the real racing world?
Very excited, Sasha. The final was not. It did not go as planned for me. I practiced with no damage apparently, and I damaged the engine on the first lap. Getting to first in the one corner.
It makes it very difficult to try and recover from that kind of position, Arno. But it looks like you were still able to get through. You didn't decide to go in like we saw with both Jason Adsmeyer and with Ulrich Ensslin to do a sort of unscheduled stop. Was that part of the strategy, and you thought you might be able to drive around the issue?
Yes, correct. It was only like 8 kilometers an hour on the straight, so I just pushed through.
Mike, I think that's not a bad plan. If a driver knows how to drive around a problem that can be created by a bit of damage on the car, this could be a youngster that has a bit of potential, hey?
Yeah, for sure. If you can drive around the problem and still be fast, then you half the battle won. No?
Well, Arno, congratulations. I think you're really in for a terrific time with VW Motorsport and the Academy. I mean, it is so world class. I think you're going to have a terrific time, and what a wonderful prize to win.
Yes, Sasha, I'm very excited. Can't wait.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Mike, I wanted to say once again a massive thanks to you for joining us on such late notice, but of course it's part and parcel of how you do, and when you're dealing with me, you know how that works. I'm going to drop you into the deep end every now and again, but I think what you've seen from Solidarity E-Race, and of course with Daniel being involved, Jonathan being involved, even Michael Steven being involved, it looks like Volkswagen might even have a bit of a threat to the sim world as well.
Well, we're certainly having a look at it, and we're talking to our partners to see what's possible. And I think given the challenges that we're facing for the rest of the year, it may well be worth us investigating. Just watch the space and see how things evolve over the coming weeks.
That's fabulous. Very exciting stuff to hear. That's for sure. I like it a lot.
Little sneaky announcement from Mike Rowe there. Listen, if we can find a fast Volkswagen in one of these games that we use, of course, AC or ACC, maybe what we need to do, Stash, is get the management to partner up with our good friends from Volkswagen, and let's make sure we've got a Volkswagen product of some nature involved in the next event. How would that be, Mike?
That'll be really cool.
Mike, thank you so much for joining us and taking time this evening to be part of the Solidarity E-Race. And once again, to you and your team from Volkswagen Motorsport and the Motorsport Academy, a massive thanks for this incredible prize. I know that the young man there, Arno Vasaki, he's probably a little bit shell-shocked, having realized what he's actually been given. But I know he's probably going to give us a really good run for his money. Arno, final word from you, buddy.
Just a big thanks for this event. It gave me the opportunity to learn the Nordschleife. And it was great fun. Had a lot of fun battles, especially with Chris Heineke in the Audi.
Wonderful stuff, Arno. And Mike, yeah, thank you very, very much for your generosity and your support. So we really, really look forward to doing a lot more together.
Great stuff. And thanks to you guys for keeping motorsport alive during these trying times. And I think it's been great for everyone. And certainly my son has been hogging our Wi-Fi, so maybe we can have some back for a while.
There we go.
Go, Daniel.
Well, lots of love to the family, Mark, and lots of love to your side of things as well. Arno, thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. Yet again, an incredible prize there from Volkswagen Motorsport, the Motorsport Academy entry there for Arno Vasaki, our youngest gamer to finish up. And Sash, I mean, it's just an incredible prize to win. It really is.
It's just wonderful, you know. As the same, Greg, with our first event with the Universal Motor guys with the Oettinger Cup. This, you know, taking somebody from the sim world who most probably sits there, you know, itches to get into a real racing car. Now having the opportunity, now Arno Vasaki having this opportunity with the VW Driving Academy. You know, from there, Greg, it spreads the word, you know, all around. You know, it's the same as us getting into the sim world. All of a sudden, we see things in a different kind of a way. These guys from the sim world now going to see things in another different way, and hopefully they have such positive experiences that it spreads the word, and you know, we build motorsport up as much as possible yet again.
And once again, just a reminder to everybody that we are not trying to hog the screen or hog the limelight here. But of course, in terms of a production of this nature, we're trying to bring in the sim world. We're trying to bring in those celebrities and those people behind the scenes as well in various aspects. We've got an incredible technical team behind us that do a job on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, involved in the sim racing leagues and the continuation of all the sim racing that happens around the country and around the world. And it's great just to see how we can marry the two in terms of a production and in terms of the event that we've put together. Brendan's also just told me, Brendan, I'm sorry, I didn't hear who it was, but we got somebody standing by to have a quick chat. It might be the man who's going to take the Driver of the Day award, Leslie Oliphant. How's it going, buddy?
Can you hear us, Leslie?
He can hear us, but we can't. There he is. He's back.
How's it, guys? How's it, Sasha? How's it, Greg?
Terrific, Leslie. What a great drive. Pressure from like the second corner all the way through, and you managed to hold on to it. I mean, listen, it's not third, it's not on the podium, but a brilliant fourth place. Well done.
Yeah, thank you, Sasha. I tried my best, but the top three were too good. My qualifying wasn't too good as well, but yeah, that's how it goes, eh?
Liz, what I got to say is that at least you turned it around from down under. I mean, we had a great interview with you in the wit on Mount Panorama. You loved getting us while you were throwing that car around. But it's a big change up here to win yourself such an incredible prize. And I'm hoping that you're in an area where the fiber availability is good, because you're getting a 300 gigabyte up and down line and a router worth 20,000 Rand, courtesy of AfriHost.
Awesome, man. Thanks, guys. I didn't even know that.
There you go. There's a happy man, Seth.
Man, it was so much fun to watch Leslie with the pressure from Lorenzo throughout the whole race. How did you manage to keep your eyes going forward as well as looking behind you?
I couldn't. I don't know where to look. I was looking back and forth one way. It was tough. The guys can really drive, eh? They've really upped the game for the final. It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Well, you were part of it as well there. Well done.
Thank you.
Leslie, one thing I wanted to ask, having a look at your setup there for the first time and actually seeing you in the rig that you've got there and the setup that you've got, is there any point in the race, being a man who could probably drive a car on the road, that you look behind you or look to the rearview mirrors on either side of your desk?
I drive a Ford Bantam. It's 2010 model, so I don't drive fast.
That's what I love. Real racing drivers just take it cool on the roads. They do the racing on the track.
Yeah. I keep it off the real. I don't speed in real life. I stopped that when I was young, maybe.
Yeah, because you're very old now.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Well, dude, congratulations once again. A phenomenal effort from your side. And once again, thank you for joining us on Solidarity E-Race. I'm sure we're going to see you back if we do another one, eh?
I will. Definitely. I'll be back for all of them if there are plenty. Hopefully.
Yeah, congratulations, Leslie. It's been so much fun to watch you over all of the events. And well done for winning Driver of the Day.
Thank you, Sasha. Thanks, guys. You're awesome.
Take care, buddy. All the very best. There you go. Leslie really fun. The winner of our Driver of the Day and the AfriHost 300 gigabyte up and down line and router for 12 months, worth about 20,000 Rand, Sash. And it all, of course, depends his fiber availability in the area he lives in. And I hope it's as good as what Zaire S's is. And both him and Jordan Sherritt getting a share of AfriHost's incredible up and down lines that they provide as service providers for this incredible industry that we're in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been wonderful, to have a partner like AfriHost with us, so determined to ensure that that people have really good Wi-Fi fiber in their homes. And, as we also found out yesterday here in South Africa, as much as people do complain about things, we do have a very, very good line. So let's long may it last.
Well, let's just run through one more time from the top, Sash, if you don't mind. I'm going to run through it before we get into the thank yous. First place tonight in the grand final is Jordan Sherritt. That's 12,000 Rand, and the gig up line and router courtesy of AfriHost, and of course all pending his fiber availability in the area he lives in. Second place goes to Christopher Langeveld, getting 7,000 Rand cash courtesy of AfriHost, and the Seagate Gaming Fire CUDA drive worth 3,500 Rand. Third place went to Julian Familiaris. He gets the 3,500 Rand cash courtesy of AfriHost. Our top finishing junior gamer between the ages of 14 and 24, as we just saw now, with Mike Rowe from Volkswagen Motorsport, will join the Volkswagen Motorsport Academy in 2021, and that is young Anu Pasaki at 21 years of age. That is an incredible prize to be winning. The fastest hot lap qualifier also goes to Jordan Sherritt. They'll take his prize money from 12 to 13,000 Rand that he's taken away from this event. As we mentioned, the Wing Camper, courtesy of Wing Promotions, that went to Darren Peens after the lucky draw. And then the GeForce Sim 2,000 Rand draws went to the two lucky winners of that, and that went to Nico Nicolaisen and one of our big sponsors, by the looks of things, getting a little bit of luck in the draw there too, Marcel Almond, son of Gerard, who comes, of course, from the incredible company Data Sciences Corporation, who helped us get Seagate Gaming on board, also gets himself 1,000 Rand courtesy of GeForce Sim. Don't forget that we still have that GeForce Sim available on our Facebook page, and that one is going to go to anybody who has liked and shared and put their favorite friend or neighbor or cousin or brother or auntie's name on our page and on the page that GeForce Sim has on Facebook. We'll be making that announcement later in the week. We're going to run it for a little bit extra time so that we get a little bit more traction on that for them. But a massive thanks, of course, to Kobus. And, of course, there is also a relationship there at Volkswagen Motorsport, the technical guru for Volkswagen Motorsport that looks after global touring cars and the Utinga Polo Cup. Thank you, Kobus and Chris from GeForce Sim.
Yeah, wonderful. I mean, all of our partners, all of our sponsors who have been with us for this event and also the other events as well, Greg, just wonderful to have them. It allows us to put on this kind of a production, this kind of an event for all of the drivers, having the technical backup from our stewards and our clerks of the course. It just makes life run so much easier when you have the resources available.
I also saw a post going up from the man we didn't get hold of this evening, unfortunately, in that plate final, the man who got second place in the 1,000 Rand there from AfriHost, Mitchell Lyson. Mitchell Lyson literally left the race page and the server and went straight to the post that's on our page for D4 Sim and put his name down saying, "I need one." And you can see why if you look at that picture we put up earlier on.
That's for sure. There it is. There it is. Come on,
you can't ask better than that. Help the guy out there, please, Kobus.
Exactly. I mean, this kid is so good as well.
All right, and I believe we also got the thank yous there, Sash. So, Brent, if you wouldn't mind popping those up for us, we can have a quick squiz of that. The official results there: Jordan Sherritt, Langenfeld, and Familiar, as we know. Oliphant, driver of the day, and fourth place. Lorenzo Gutteri was right in the mix there for driver of the day, as was Zander Roots and Daniel Rowe in the previous plate final. But I think the pressure that was soaked up by Oliphant was certainly well worth him getting driver of the day.
Very much so, Greg. And I mean, just look at the caliber of all of the drivers. Look at their stats as well. I mean, this was a wonderful, wonderful final and brilliant driving from everybody, under extreme pressure in also a race that they weren't used to that kind of a distance. So I think, every single one of those drivers should give themselves a pat in the back for a brilliant final.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Even right down to the 20th place man there, they all put in a valiant effort. I'm sure they're going to be looking forward to announcements which we can possibly make in the very near future if there is some more want and need for another Solidarity E-Race, which I think there possibly might be. We'll wait and see. We're not going to make any mention of it just yet, but keep your eyes and ears and, of course, all your social media platforms on high alert for a potential episode 4. Sash, it's come to this, buddy. We're all done and dusted, but unfortunately, fortunately before we go, we have to do the biggest part of the event, and that, of course, is the massive thank yous to everybody behind the scenes. To our technical team, to Jason Holden-Jones, and, of course, to Alan Patterson and Neil Marks and Richard Raymond for helping us out as our stewards and race control over the week. They have been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, brilliant stuff.
To our production team, and of course, it's a one-man show, which it isn't normally. There's no I in team, but at this time there is actually only one I in the team, and that is Brendan Marseille from EFX Productions. Brendan, you've done an incredible job, buddy. Thank you so much for making us look so good in this incredible virtual studio. Literally sitting outside, as you can see behind us, one of the most spectacular corners at the Nordschleife. We wouldn't be able to do that without you, so we do appreciate that, Brendan Marseille.
Yeah, I tell you, you cannot believe how hard Brendan actually works behind the scenes. He's got to do all of the cameras. He's got to get all of the interviews lined up. An incredible job. So, a massive kudos to you, Brendan. Wonderful to work with you.
It is certainly an awesome privilege to work for somebody that can put a production together like this, and it's a world-class production. We also want to say a massive thanks, of course, to Supercar Lifestyle and the whole management team behind this event, to Ross and his team. We do appreciate everything that you guys have done, particularly in the trying times that our boss man has had over the last couple of weeks, having to go in for another skin graft on that injury that he picked up a couple of years ago when the Lamborghini did its role correctly. To the guys from Sim Race and from Super Tubit, that of course is Marksman, Neil, all the other leagues that we've engaged with over the 3 events, and getting ourselves a fay on how this all works. I know we've stepped on a few toes here and there, and we may have just clashed with other events, but that wasn't the case, and it wasn't certainly what we were trying to do. We are definitely trying to work together with the world of Sim here in South Africa to make it bigger and better.
Yeah, it's just wonderful to be part of it, and there are so many different leagues that are going on, Greg. Of course, there are going to be clashes here and there, so everyone's just got to check their calendars and make sure that we accommodate each other all of the time. But brilliant to be part of it, and so glad that they are embracing us being part of it as well.
Yeah, so if you haven't had enough sim racing this evening, make sure you join the guys, of course, from Monday Night Racing. They were one of the guys that asked us to give them a mention. That's tomorrow night. You can go and join them. And, of course, that's where Sasha, I think, is going to start his career, because he's been touted to go and join them, because it is kind of like an entry level, and you can get into it with a lot of support from the guys that are involved in that league. But to all the leagues, a massive thanks for your support and for supporting our race action that we've done over the 3 events.
Yeah, Greg, and it's been so much fun working with you over all of these 3 events as well. Well done to our guest commentators who came on board, Kyle and George for winning the commentator search as well. Great to have them. It's just been so much fun. I've loved every second of it, and I really look forward to hopefully doing it again very, very soon.
Yeah, and finally to, of course, Vanna Hinnop from True Race, to Gerard Ullman from Data Science Corporation, to Daniel Texera and the whole team from Pure Storage, our team from AfriHost, Carl and Fani for joining us as the interview and stepping in for Carl Fulcher. Of course, all the way in Le Francais, Francois Remy Monier from NEC Global. We do appreciate your support. And, of course, a massive, massive thank you to Cobus Barnett and his entire team from Seagate Gaming and from Seagate for coming on as our naming rights. We're hoping they're going to stick with us because I think we have shown exactly how we look after our sponsors and give them the best value for money. And also, and probably the most important thank you, everybody out there that's watched us, that's been entertained by the racing that's happened, that supported all the initiatives and activations we've done. Without you guys, we can't go racing. So a massive thank you to all of our Solidarity E-Race fans for sticking with us in this trying time in South Africa and not only having some fun, being entertained, but doing something pretty spectacular in raising over 55,000 Rand towards the Solidarity Fund. From all of us here at Solidarity E-Race, Sash?
Yeah, it's just been exactly, well done to everybody who's raised the money and of course, to everybody who's watched and engaged and hopefully also found the excitement in sim racing.
Well, we certainly have, Sasha. I think we've converted you completely. I'm slowly but surely looking at options to try and get a rig in here at some point in time as well. I've got to get Deegan back to the side because he's got the PlayStation 4, but that's easy to do. So we'll wait and see if that all works according to plan. But yet again, Formula One, F1, Stasha, my mate, my good friend, my brother from another mother, I've got to say, bud, to work with you is always an honor and privilege. Thank you so much for bringing in. It's an Italian mother that I've got there, but the Irish and the Italians are pretty close, so it's not too bad. We both learned how to swim off the original island.
That's for sure. Always a pleasure, Greg, and an absolute privilege to be part of this and to work with you. So very, very humbled.
From the Solidarity E-Race team, once again, here from the Nordschleife Affair, on behalf of Seagate and all our associate sponsors, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Until the next time, take care then. Bye for now.